Hello everyone, I'm Lysander Xanthus and this is The Kitchen Witch, and we are doing a live Q&A today about curses and removing them. It is also lunchtime, so we will be eating intermittently.
Apologies.
Alrighty, so we will begin by kind of discussing what curses are and so on. You're welcome to comment or ask questions at any point. We will be doing 3 mini readings for people, but only in relation to the topic.
Sorry.
Hello everyone, welcome. I hope we are all well this morning. All right, so the perspective that we will be sharing about the subject kind of comes from our own experiences at work. What I have to say kind of comes from my experience as an energy healer and as someone who removes curses. I have not, at least knowingly, cast any myself. So my perspective will kind of come from someone who has gone into people's energy and seen the result of them and has removed them. I can't speak for you and you're busy at the moment.
I am doing a thing, and then I would be happy to comment on things.
Okay, so curses, I kind of use the term in a broader sense. So when I say curse, I mean it's the end result of someone inflicting a strong degree of ill will towards another person in a way that is that has kind of a lasting effect on the energy and is actively malicious and detrimental. I know that's kind of a broad definition, but that's kind of one of the few things that's consistent across all of them because they come in so many different varieties. Hello everybody. Welcome to the video. So yeah, that's a really basic definition. So again, for everyone who's joined us, you're welcome to comment or ask questions at any point about the subject. So again, the way I define it is someone's inflicted ill will or malice that has an active and continuous detrimental effect on the person it's inflicted on. Because someone could energetically attack you and damage your energy, but it's not the same thing. It's kind of like a cut in your aura, but that's it. It's not continuing to draw bad things to you. I think we'll kind of get a better idea of it as we go along and describe it. To me, I view it as a broad subject, so I will try to pull my thoughts together as we go along. Yes, so that's generally what they are, how they happen. Obviously, people do cast them as spells or rituals. So sometimes they are intentfully inflicted for a variety of reasons and with a variety of intended effects, because they can actually do different things. Some of them, though, are cast subconsciously. If someone is angry enough or feeling a strong negative emotion enough towards a target, they can cast a curse, though they know nothing or don't even believe in magic. So I've seen that a few times. So how they happen again is it's kind of that straightforward. I can talk about some of the different kinds that I've seen, and then we'll discuss how do you tell if yourself or someone you know is struggling with one, and how to remove them.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. The new Facebook update is made of evil. That is a curse. Facebook is a curse. I'm kidding. So hello, everyone.
Would you like to share your perspective of what a curse is or your experience with them?
Curses are bad. They're very harmful. I think the most important thing I can share is that curses are harmful not only to the individual it's been inflicted on, but also the person who puts it on someone. Very important thing. I have had many, many people over the years ask me to help them put curses on people, and I have to remind them every time that they are going to pay for them.
It's not like a moral thing.
It's not.
Natural effect of the magic.
It's an energy balancing kind of thing. When you put that kind of ill will into the world, you're also attracting that kind of ill will. So casting curses is actually just as bad for the person casting as it is for the person receiving, which a lot of people don't realize.
Yes. More about that in a moment. Oh, hello, welcome. So yes. So I'll share some things I've noted about them as someone who's removed quite a few of them. They are harmful to both parties. The reason is because that exchange, it's not too different from like creating a relationship cord between you and the person you're inflicting it on. Especially because it usually comes from such an emotional place. You're infusing, how do I articulate it? Every time I've like removed a curse, that there is the signature of the person who cast it in that curse. Even if the two people haven't had contact in years or even lifetimes. So you are connected to that work for the time that it exists. And because I tend to work with the afflicted side of it, I haven't seen a lot of how it afflicts the caster, but it kind of invites hostility into your life. People subconsciously respond to you differently, and so does the world. It's more of a subtle thing, but it is detrimental. Brenda Silva asks, how do you know if you're cursed? That is a very good question. And we will definitely be getting into that in a moment. So, trying to think if it would be better to just go on and get into that or to talk about the variety of forms and effects.
No, just answer the question.
Okay. Just have a cat here. Okay, there she goes. So, how do you know if you're cursed? Well, it can be pretty tricky, as something that is common to a lot of curses is that they are shadowed so that they are less noticeable. So a lot of times they frequently won't show up unless you're actively looking for them as someone who can see energy. So how to tell if one is cursed. I'll talk about some of the things that you may experience in your life or in yourself as the result of being under one. Of course, because their forms are so broad, it could include all of the above or just some or additional things that I don't think to mention. Constant bad luck, is it a sign of a curse?
It can be.
It can be, but it's not the only one. And we will be doing readings later on in the video, just so you guys know. So if you feel, I'm just going to go through like all the potential things you could experience. A lack of focus, like it's very difficult for you to focus yourself on achieving things or focusing on much of anything. You're extremely susceptible to influence and suggestion from other people. It's very hard for you to like stand your ground or stand up for yourself. So you could think of that as like a lack of personal will. So it's very easy for you to kind of change your mind, and it's difficult for you to pursue specific goals, and being very confused about your purpose or your life generally, or confused about other people. Especially if the confusion is like you're not able to mentally focus because you feel extremely emotional all the time and you're hyper reactive to everything. That is a common effect because it's a way of keeping you disempowered, that intense distraction. I can't already mention being susceptible to influence, but especially if there are, whether it's everyone or just one person or a few select individuals, where when they want something from you, you feel extremely compelled to obey them or to do what they want you to do. I'll definitely get to the other questions after answering this. Excuse me. This can be a bit hard to point out for yourself, but being unable to judge the character of other people around you, to see other people or situations objectively. Obviously, if you're someone who's a hard time with objective perspective, it's generally difficult to impossible to know that you have that problem because of the nature of it. Some other things are a decline in physical or psychological health. Of course, also spiritual health, but that may be harder to discern for some people. Nightmares, lots of nightmares, bad dreams, especially if they're reoccurring things, or if you see the same couple of people or single person. Bad luck is potentially one, but I'd like to be more specific. It would be like continuously people coming into your life who are bad people, for lack of a better term. It always ends poorly for you. You having come into contact with these people for one reason or another. They're just hostile or abusive. So drawing to yourself actually bad people, or just everyone generally responding to you in a hostile way, or for some reason inexplicably everyone is like not helpful. It's like, sometimes when you're having a hard time or something's gone wrong, people give you a break, or they offer to help you with something. It's like, if you're cursed, that like never happens, and people, without even whether they mean to or not, they're like in your way and they're obstacles, and they actively don't help.
Yeah.
Or even the opposite. So some of you, that you may think that you're kind of like crazy for thinking that everyone is so mean to you, but it could be them. People subconsciously respond to our energy. So unfortunately, with a curse, it kind of causes people to subconsciously respond in a way that is anywhere from not helpful to us to hostile. So there's a scale. So I will definitely go through and catch up on all the comments after kind of going through the whole list of ways, things that you might experience if you're cursed. Someone was asking about a location being cursed. So we can talk about that. Yes, a place obviously can be.
Short
but we'll
answer,
talk about
yes.
What you would experience if a location is cursed, because that's a little different. But to continue with a person being cursed, other things they may experience. So other people being not helpful, your life being full of constant inconvenience. That may sound silly, but constant, unending inconvenience. Everything is difficult for seemingly no reason. Everything.
You can't make yourself breakfast in the morning because you stub your toe, you drop the eggs, and you can't seem to get the pan clean no matter how hard you scrub. No, really, like, there are curses that make every single minute thing you try to accomplish in your day impossible.
Your life is full of constant frustration. Obviously, that's like one end, but it could be as advanced as like everything goes horribly wrong in your life, not just inconvenient, but things are terrible all the time. Or like those moments where, maybe you could accomplish something or get by or kind of slide through a difficult situation. It doesn't happen. You don't get help. Things don't go well, etc. At some point, hopefully I remember to talk about this. Some of these things are not a sure sign of curse. Sometimes there's this interesting thing. So there's people who have malicious energy on them, like curses, and then people who have entities looking out for them and benevolent forces protecting them. Some of these things you actually can experience if you just have nothing going on with you. So like if you're not cursed, but you don't have benevolent forces looking out for you to kind of help things work, then you're just a victim of the random BS of the world. And yes, that can happen.
Which is kind of like a curse.
So being subject to genuine chance, because the chances in our world are honestly not good. So if you don't have active benevolent energy kind of easing your way, it can feel like a curse. So I just want to make that quick distinction. Also, I talked about how they happen. You can curse yourself, but we'll get to that later. I know there's a lot of questions in the comments. Just want to get through the whole, like, every possible thing you could experience being cursed. Okay, so things just kind of going wrong or being inconvenient all the time. What else? Obviously, some can be very severe and targeted, so like any sudden or extreme physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, even insanity. Those are like extreme things. Obviously, it kind of has a way of tainting your energy. So for those of you who know the law of attraction and so on, it can kind of draw negative stuff to you in a general sense, unfortunately. I'm trying to think a moment. Can you think of anything that you'd experience as a cursed individual while I think of the rest of the things?
I think you about covered it.
That's a good general scope. It makes things very unpleasant. So it can be from making a lot of trouble for you all the way to being extremely detrimental, ruining your life, and maybe killing you. Sounds dramatic, but it could be that bad.
Dramatic but true.
So curses are a scale, for sure. But they're all
bad.
They're all bad.
And the way that you handle them has a lot to do with how much...
The nature of them. They can have different effects. So some are just meant to make you suffer, and some are meant to control you. Those are like the two main types I've noticed. There are other kinds, but those are the two: domination and just punishment, suffering.
Yeah, in the case of curses that tend to cause suffering, a lot of it ends up being about the individual who is cursed. Your definition of what suffering is and your inability to handle problems can make those curses perpetually worse. So even if someone else puts a curse on you, you can make that curse 100 times worse because you don't handle what's happening to you particularly well.
Yes, your own energy and your own being do have an effect on them. It is possible to remove them yourself. And again, we'll get to that. And you, as I mentioned, you can curse yourself, and we will get to that. But I want to catch up on the comments because there are a lot. So we answered, how do you know if you're cursed? It's constant luck is something cursed. It can be. Readings will be later. Corrine asks, what about if a house is cursed? How do you clean it as people leave their energy imprint without any bad intentions, but still the house become ill? We will talk about removing all that stuff later.
Short answer is yes, houses can be cursed, and yes, you can remove them from your home.
Do we want to talk about how to tell if a location is cursed?
If it feels really nasty, it's cursed.
It feels really nasty. So it's not too different from like really bad hauntings, or if you're cursed, you experience all that stuff in the house.
Basically, the difference between a haunted house where you're dealing with things moving, you're dealing with feeling like you're being watched, anything like that, that's usually because there's some kind of entity there causing problems. In the case of a curse, being in the home usually makes you feel kind of uneasy. It could make you feel sick. Curses in a location tend to be very, very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't really a wide array of curses you can put on a home. It just feels horrible to be there.
Yeah.
So almost always it's going to be residual energy or a haunting before it's a curse.
Yeah. So ways that would be inflicted, usually some awful thing happening and someone reacting.
Houses can be cursed for a number of reasons, especially if a house has been in someone's home or family for a long time. It picks up a family curse or a blood curse of some kind. But ultimately, there's a pretty notable ill ease there. Frankly, a cursed home is probably not one you're inclined to buy. If you have any level of intuitive sense remotely, going into that place is going to make you feel like you want to, throw up and then kill somebody. You're just not going to want to be there.
Yeah. All right. I'm seeing some comments again. We'll do readings later. People are saying that they relate to the symptoms. I related. All right. Brenda asks, can a curse carry on from generation to generation?
There is such a thing as a blood curse, and blood curses are very, very uncommon nowadays. Most generational curses would have burned out by now because it's not a common thing for a bloodline to be cursed at this point. Just Christianity has kind of numbed the world to that level of cursing.
Yeah.
200 years ago, absolutely, someone would have slaughtered a chicken, spilled blood over your name, and cursed your entire family for the next 10 generations. So it is absolutely possible, just very uncommon.
I have seen those. So they do still exist. They are rare, and you can get over them and have kind of sort of had one myself. My bloodline is a cursed bloodline.
True story.
And the way, there's a really easy way to overcome a generational curse. However, most people are not willing to do that. And it is what I did. Luckily, my family made it really easy because they're not very good people. The quickest way to destroy a blood curse you're subject to is to disown your family. To disown the family and the name and your ancestors, and you are scot-free.
Basically.
Yes.
For most people, that's not much of an option, but if it is an option, you believe that you have a blood curse that's connected to your family, you can bail on that.
Disown, just to kind of say, I'm not part of this anymore. Bye.
That's the easy way. There are other ways, but that's the easy way to deal with that.
Obviously, for most people, that's not a
An
viable
option.
option. But if it is, that's how you do it. And it is like a fail proof. All right, moving on. Paula, hello. Asks, can a person unintentionally curse another person?
Oh, yes.
And
That is the most common form of curses, is somebody's ex-girlfriend really hates you because you're with her man. So she sends all this anger at you, and the next thing you know, your relationship's over and you can't seem to get a man to save your life.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very common thing. Emotional aggression and emotional dissonance will cause curses.
If a person feels enough ill will and strong negative feelings towards another person, they can curse them.
Yes.
And so, yeah. What was I going to say?
Dunno.
Yeah, it would be as simple as just someone like obsessing and ruminating about like their ex or whatever to forge that connection. Yeah. So now the rest of it, like if somebody has extreme emotions and thinks, I hope this other person suffers or undergoes some horrible thing, would that result in an actual curse, or would it just put negative energy into the world?
It'll result in a curse.
Yes. Like if you really were like strong feelings.
Arg.
It's okay. It's okay to feel negative things. I'm not saying that you need to avoid your feelings because you're afraid of cursing people.
No.
It has to be like
It has to be very
almost
vicious and very targeted.
Almost like it kind of makes me think of like unfortunately kind of like a psycho person. I mean, like really focused, like you thinking about it all the time, really intensely, like like a avid sports fanatic thinking about how much their team needs to win, like that kind of like super laser focus on the person. You have to be really, really angry.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Okay. Amy says, is there a way to know who's doing the cursing towards one?
Yes. As Lysander pointed out earlier, when a curse is created, you're basically creating a relationship cord between the person who was cursed and the person who did the cursing. So there is a way to follow that cord like any other relationship cord to find out where it came from.
So yes, I do that, and I do that every time, obviously, because it's usually pretty important to know who did it and why. And I do admit my typical form of curse removal is to return to sender. And there are no repercussions for it because you're just rebalancing things. It's like when you curse someone, you're taking energy from yourself, you're putting it on someone. So you've created like a vacancy in yourself and you've given additional energy that doesn't belong to the other person. So really, I'm just fulfilling nature and setting things back in the right when I just take it back from that person and put it back where it came from. So be mindful of that.
Catching up with comments.
We will kind of get to that more. I generally tell people you should probably not cast curses. And I know usually people who say you shouldn't curse bring up like the Wiccan Red or Karma, and neither of those are my reasoning for why you should probably not do that.
You shouldn't do it because it creates a void in your own energy and harms you, not because it'll be returned tenfold or anything like that.
I did find a curse from several lifetimes ago on a person where the person who cast it, their spirit no longer existed because the curse actually ate them away. So don't curse people.
Yeah, you're actually expending your own energy cursing other people. So you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself.
Hello, Tony. Hi says, by not giving energy to a curse, one can break it. That's not how I would go about it. Because the other person is feeding into the curse.
Right. Because you have two parties feeding into a curse, it is possible to lessen the effects of the curse by not feeding your own energy into it. But so long as the other individual feeds energy into it, the curse will sustain.
Yeah.
So you can minimize it. And in the case of like an anger-based curse, it's actually very possible for them to forget all about it over time, and the less energy you've given to it in the long term could dissipate it over time.
So we'll definitely talk about how you can reduce and remove anything that you may be carrying. I was going to say something that I
Keep going.
forgot. Okay.
We gotta catch up.
Oh, well. Replying to hi, no. Okay.
Moving on.
Hello, we've been told that in 2 bedrooms in your house there's a little boy. How do we remove him?
That is a spirit. That's not necessarily the same as the topic we're discussing at the moment.
I would suggest going back through my videos to find the Ghost and Hauntings live Q&A,
which was last week.
which was last week.
There's some great advice in there. Highly recommend you check that out. Moving on.
All right.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. What we believe, focus on, we also enforce, create. Yeah.
True.
Fear comes with lack of knowledge, understanding. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. All right. Hi, I don't know why, but I salted my property last week. Well, if you felt inclined,
There was probably a reason.
there's probably a reason. Don't feed fear and it will disappear. Well, that would work if you're like the only person who exists in the universe. But you're not. There are other people with their own wills feeding into what's happening. But we'll get into how to get rid of things later on. Outside property. Okay, let's see. When a person that wishes you ill will, even if they haven't any powers per se, they can make you ill.
Yes.
Yes. Our emotions are very powerful.
Every single person on this planet has the capacity to be psychic. Every person on this planet has energy. It's what keeps them going. So regardless of whether or not they believe in their power, regardless of whether or not they believe that magic is real, with enough ill will pointed at you, they can still curse you and they can still do damage. Every single human being has the capacity to be magical.
Yes. It is possible to protect yourself and take other measures so that when someone sends a curse, it just kind of bounces off. But we'll get to that again in a bit. There's a lot of comments. What is the best crystal to keep curses away?
Rutilated quartz.
Anything black.
Rutilated quartz, tourmalized quartz. The reason that you want a quartz that has rutilations or tourmalization in it is because the minerals inside of the quartz will destroy the energy. The quartz crystal will radiate positive energy. It's kind of like the world's greatest filtration system.
Yeah. But generally, I would actually recommend amulets over crystals for protective purposes.
Personal amulets are way more powerful. Like personal amulets.
Thank you for the compliments, guys. We'll definitely talk about removal. Let's see. I know someone has done some bad work on me. How can I get it to return back to them if they are protected? We will get to that. Hey, we finally got to the bottom.
Hey, bottom of the comments. You guys can start commenting again. We'll catch up, I'm sure.
Corinne says, never cursed anyone. People ask me to do love spells. I refuse. Anyone can curse you.
Yeah, actually, most love spells, I say most because there are love spells between two people who are already in love. Those are safe. All love spells are curses. I can't emphasize this enough, everybody. If you're trying to force someone's emotions, that is a curse. You are forcing energy on them that does not belong to them. That is a curse. All love spells are a curse.
So I talked about how half of curses are have the purpose of domination. So it's like influencing another person to submit to your will. So it's actually an extremely common curse form. That's pretty unpleasant. And domination curses are ones that are intended to influence. There is always a very strong connection between the caster and the person being subjected, obviously, because that's kind of the nature of it and how it works. You have to be connected. And most of the time, regardless of the form of the spell or its intention, it always appears to me as chains and other types of bindings like that. Here, here, Eliza. Yeah. Yes. All right. So we finally got through all the comments. So I guess we can talk about how to remove.
So obviously the easiest way to remove curses is to go to someone with energy healing abilities. Someone who is actually adept at it should be able to find the connection, locate the individual who caused the curse, and send it back to them so that the balance is restored, and therefore kind of negating any negative effects that have already been going on. There are a lot of other ways to remove them for yourself, but the important thing to remember in any kind of removal is to have the intention of sending their energy back to them in that process, because you do want to try and restore balance to the universe, and usually that tainted energy going back to them kind of puts them right for what they've done. So it's kind of a win-win.
If you're not able to, just getting it off of you is good, because it does go back in the world, and it has a way the world does sort itself. Hello. Just reading the comments. Yes, so removal. Obviously, yes, I remove curses. I will talk a little bit about my process and then tell you how you can do it for yourself, because that is a very important thing to be able to do for yourself, because sometimes you don't have someone that you can depend on or turn to for it. So when I'm reading someone, I connect to their energy and I observe their aura, and I will purposely look for specifically curses.
I knew it was one drink. Sorry.
Sometimes they are things that won't show up unless you're actively looking for them. So I will look for that, and either something will show up or it won't. And sometimes, if I'm being very thorough, I'll go through the various layers of the aura. But generally, they appear pretty readily, because most of them aren't very complicated. It is the nature of a curse to kind of conceal itself. So usually they appear in the color black, whatever form they've taken in, or being shadowed. And they take all kinds of different forms. The most common is like a black sack over the head, and some kind of chain or rope on the person. But there are a lot of other forms as well. I mean, they could honestly look like almost anything in the energy, but that's actually the most common thing, is the sack over the head and forms of bondage, and that there will be a rope or chain that leads to the caster. Let's see. Judy asks, what would happen if the person that put the spell on you has passed away? It doesn't go away necessarily.
They have to have let go before they passed away. Unfortunately, because souls do continue on to other levels and other planes of existence, that piece of them that they gave you, you get to keep that even if it is cursing you. So regardless of whether or not someone has passed away, that curse can still stick around, and it will follow you from lifetime to lifetime. And as Lysander pointed out earlier, he's run into individuals who had curses put on them, and the caster, their soul was basically destroyed by the fact that that curse was still going centuries later.
Yeah. So not only were they dead, they did not exist anymore in any way. Also, so it can still be there even if the person who cast it is dead. If the intention was domination, usually the way I see it is that there's a leading rope or yoke, because the person is pulling you along the way they want you to go. So when someone dies, it means no one's leading you anymore, so you may feel more lost and confused and ungrounded and floating around than ever, but you're still cursed. So that's really unfortunate. Yes, this stuff is creepy.
It is very creepy.
It is bad.
This is all bad stuff. It is uber creepy.
So,
and we're really downplaying some of the things that we've come across, to be honest.
Just don't want to be like dramatic, but it's like all stuff I've seen and handled. So I'm going to talk about next how to remove them. But first, I want to note, again, my perspective comes from someone who like looks at the curses and has seen the result of them. So I know maybe it might upset some people to describe love spells as curses, but you haven't seen what they look like on the person they've been put on. Usually they look exactly the same. It's a sack over the head and some kind of rope, and usually it's attached to an idealized version of yourself to kind of make them like you, but it's not even really you. It's a glamorized version of yourself.
The thing to remember is that regardless of your intention, anytime you are forcing your will on someone, you are cursing them. So love spells are absolutely still curses.
So, yes.
Hello, everyone.
And, if you did it without really understanding the kind of negativity of it, it's okay. We're human. You can always undo it, and it's a pretty simple thing. You just let the person go. You don't even have to do a ritual for it. Just kind of like release them emotionally. Yes. Okay, so how to remove them for yourself. Usually it takes time to wear them down if you're doing it for yourself. So what I suggest is things that you will have to do like daily or weekly for a long period of time. Depending on the strength or duration of the curse, it could take like, potentially it could just take one session, but it could take a week, several months, several years, but hopefully not that long. Let's see. Paula says, I vaguely remember a trend, possibly just East Coast, of pagans/witches choosing to collectively curse or bind a particular political figure. Yes, we will answer this. I didn't participate in it because the idea of intentionally cursing another didn't sit well. But the end goal was ultimately good, to stop a person causing harm from causing more harm. What are the ethics of something like this, and would it still harm the senders?
So the thing about magic, all magic, is that morals and ethics are in the eye of the beholder. So we're not going to talk about that. But in this case, yes, it would still hurt the sender because you're still sending a part of you to the individual that you're attempting to curse.
Yeah.
There are better ways to handle something like that. Even though the intention was to stop someone from doing more harm, they are forcing their will on someone else, which is going to hurt them in the long run. Another way to have done it would have been to put obstacles in that person's path to stop them from moving forward, for instance. And that would have been just as fruitful, if not better.
Yeah.
So intention, like I said, it doesn't matter what your intention is. If you're forcing your will on someone, you're guaranteed to feel the repercussion of that in the long run.
Yeah, I definitely want to emphasize that our suggestion that you really should not curse people is not coming from a moral place, mostly because honestly, the people who want to do it don't care. We will justify anything to ourselves, and really, we're not here to argue about that. It's just that magic and energy works a certain way, and it doesn't matter why you do something or what your moral view is, it still works the way it works. So cursing people is still just detrimental to you. Our world functions under free will. So whenever you put your will on another person, it's generally not going to work out very well. So that, yes, as she said, there are a lot of ways to accomplish the same goal. So there's usually a better way if you take the time to kind of figure it out. So I won't even say that what they did was wrong, technically. They had a noble intention, but unfortunately, it's just energy works the way it works.
You send energy somewhere, you're losing that energy. The greater the intention, especially when you're trying to force your will on someone, the more it's going to take from you. Ultimately, if they were willing to make the sacrifice, then the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
But it's about your willingness to make that sacrifice. Will it affect you in the long run? Yes. Regardless of anything, you have lost a chunk of yourself and you are going to feel the repercussion of that. But if you're willing to make that sacrifice for a greater good, that's up to you.
That is the thing, is that you can go ahead and do it as long as you understand what you're doing. So yes, your suggestion of putting obstacles in their path is a good suggestion. You could also choose to focus your magic on protecting the people they're hurting.
Yep. Obviously, for a political figure, that'd be protecting a lot of people. So that's why I recommended something like creating obstacles. Creating obstacles is you taking the energy of the universe and applying it to creating a force that would stand in the way of someone.
You're affecting their environment, not them.
And again, calling from the universe, not from an internal place, makes a difference. All curses are coming from an internal place because they are emotional and willful.
Yeah. So this can kind of dancing around, it can get a bit convoluted. So you could also approach it from the fact of that this figure is imposing their will on other people. So you can use the fact that you want to protect the will of the people that they're suppressing to overcome his will, because we do function on free will, but there's also a thing called like true will. Ideally, if everyone is doing what their true will was, everything would fit exactly and no one would cross each other, if you know what I mean. So anyone who's suppressing another person's true will, you can kind of put the emphasis on setting it right. Maybe that's just too complicated. I don't know. I haven't tried to explain some of these things before. All right. All right, next question. The people who do it, when it returns to the caster, does it affect them?
Usually.
Yes.
The thing to remember about the way that whole thing works, you send a piece of yourself to someone to subjugate them or to force your will on them in some way. What happens to your energy while it's there causing that disruption is that energy kind of gets disrupted and becomes very negative and very toxic. So when you send it back to the individual and say, hey, this doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you, that energy goes back to them where it belongs, but it's toxic now. You're basically poisoning them, and it's up to them to clean that up and make it work for them again.
Which they can.
They can do it. And the effects are variable based on how toxic that energy has become.
All right. So Victoria says, how can you know if you're cursed? You'll have to replay the video to hear the list of symptoms. Obviously, if you are a person who can see or perceive energy, obviously
you can tell.
You can tell. You look for it, either it's there or not.
Honestly, the best thing as far as being able to tell whether or not you're cursed is if you were having a normal life and then you stopped having a normal life, that's usually there's something going on there. If you suspect it's something that's followed you your whole life, maybe talk to someone, get a reading on it, or read for yourself if you're able.
Yeah. Let's see. How different is a curse and a hex? I use them interchangeably.
I was going to say there really isn't a difference. I would say that a hex is a lower grade version of a curse. Only in that
sounds more mild.
Well, only in that hexes usually refer to a type of ritual magic where you're like, I'm going to, throw chili peppers at them 3 times and say a few words and I'm going to curse them. But the intention is still the same and you are still using your own will to dominate them.
So more or less, I consider them interchangeable terms, but not everyone does. All right. Joni asks, is there any negative karma from binding a person from harming themselves or others?
So
I guess it depends on how you bound them.
So here again, if you are using your will to suppress someone else's will, regardless of the intention, you are cursing them. And whatever ill effect your energy goes through in the pursuit of that intention, when it is returned to you, if it's returned to you, it will be changed by that. Sometimes the best thing we can do is to protect others by being willing to sacrifice ourselves, as I pointed out. But I'm reluctant to use the word karma because
don't really follow that idea. It's more like cause and effect.
we have studied the history on the premise of karma, and it's not something the two of us choose to ascribe to. But we do believe in perpetual motion and quantum physics, and energy moving creates energy. So when it comes down to it, whether you're binding them for your own sake or to subjugate them, you're still forcing your will. It will still affect you in the long run.
Yeah. There are other approaches. Of course, there's every situation is complicated and has a lot of layers. It's kind of like who is this person? What are they doing? Who are they hurting? And what's their position to them? Is there a mundane way to approach it, like informing authorities? If it's all involving adults, then you can remove yourself from the situations. You're not subjected to their ill behavior. And if the other people choose to stay there, that's not your responsibility to fix, as unfortunate as it is.
All right, moving on.
But every situation is very individual. Let's see. Yes. The person who has done it has caused a lot of harm to my family. That is why I asked. What's
Yeah.
the prior question? Oh, does it affect them? Yes.
It most certainly does. Sending it back to them will definitely do something.
All right. Victoria says, how will I know if someone placed a curse on me?
There's a list at the beginning of this video.
You will have to replay the video once the video
to get the entire list. But as we've pointed out, any kind of energy, any reliable energy reader should be able to tell you. Otherwise, the things to look for are before and after effects. If you had a normal life before and a not so normal life now, there might be something connecting the dots.
Later on in the video, we are doing mini readings about curses. So tune in for that. Otherwise, I do offer private readings, and I am an individual who could tell you if you are cursed or not. I will be honest, I'm not going to tell every single person they have a curse.
No. Sometimes we're just having a bad time. Sometimes it's the stars. Sometimes it's just where we are in life. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with magic at all and everything to do with what's happening up here, because we all don't want to deal with our demons.
So if you do ask for either a free reading or schedule a private reading with me to know if you are cursed or not, also be prepared to hear, ask yourself if you are prepared to hear that you have a curse, but also ask yourself if you're prepared to hear that you don't have one and that you've either done it, whatever it is, to yourself, or if there's some other thing going on, and ask yourself if you are ready to hear it.
Yes. Okay, so the next question. What if you make a curse for a person's karma to come faster? So the first mistake in this question is that that's not a curse. It's only a curse if you are enforcing your will on someone else. Asking the universe to allow karma to come to fruition is not cursing them. That is the same thing I was talking about, where you're creating a block for the individual. You can ask the universe without putting yourself into it at all. Just ask the universe, hey, can we see what happens to this person if we just kind of push that along a little bit?
Also understand, though, that if you're recalling a person's entire karma to them, that includes positives as well as negatives.
Yes.
And even if they've just been nasty to you or someone you love, everything else they've done may balance out or even benefit them.
Yes.
So
Please
maybe do an assessment reading before doing that.
Please keep in mind, it's just as likely that the guy who's mean to you at work every day volunteers at a soup kitchen on the weekends. You have no idea what their personal life is. So you might just be doing them a favor. But ultimately, if you're asking the universe to perpetuate karma, you're not specifically putting yourself into it, and you just need to accept the outcome. Just don't try to be nasty about it.
Yes, it gives them exactly what they deserve, not what you think is coming to them. So as long as you understand that, it's all good.
We will be doing readings and such in just a bit, and they will be related to the topic alone. So please keep that in mind, guys. If you would like a reading about something other than curses and how to remove them, please schedule an actual reading.
Yes. Thank you for sharing and liking. Yes, chili peppers. I would just say thanks and use them for cooking.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Okay. When someone sends a jealous spirit around you to disrupt your life, it makes things go in a different direction to cause confusion. I want to remove it off of my life so it doesn't go to my daughter. That sounds complicated.
Negative spirits are a totally different thing altogether. Curses are all about taking your own will and using it to hurt someone else. Asking a spirit to do that is some crafty smartness, is what that is.
That's the next level.
That is someone who understands that putting a piece of themselves out there is going to hurt them in the long run.
Yeah,
so they chose someone else to do it.
That's just circumventing the entire "you're screwing yourself when you curse people" thing.
So that is a far more complicated issue to deal with, but it can be dealt with. That is a spirit banishment and a whole lot of karmic justice pushing, as it were.
It's like kicking out any other spirit and making sure it can't come back. All right. Can I have a free reading, or let me know if I do have one? Yes, we will get to that. When others pay others to curse for them, whose energy is used?
The person who paid for it.
That's a good question.
A good practitioner knows better than to put their own will into it. They will take the will of the person paying them and chunk that out of them at whatever size they choose is necessary and send it. So if you paid me to curse someone else, I'm going to reach into you, pull out the nastiest part of you and send it at that person. But you're going to pay for it in the long run, not me.
So yes, if the caster is smart, that's what they do. They would not be foolish enough to use their own ill will to curse someone. There's no amount of money worth that. So no, you're not bypassing the consequences by utilizing a caster. All right, and again, we've hit the bottom. Okay, so how to remove them for yourself.
So we're going to talk a little bit about how to remove curses for yourself. I'm going to go grab one of my favorite things to show everybody, but you talk about that and I will be right back.
Okay, so
at some point you should eat your lunch too, by the way. I know you're chatting.
So I have a lot of advice. So to remove a curse from yourself, and some of the things I say will be good for removing a whole lot of things. It's not like it will require some time and effort from you, so be prepared for that. It's just, if you want it gone, you'll do it. Good daily habits, like spiritual habits, will begin to erode the curse over time. So that includes meditating each day, doing a grounding meditation every day, cleansing your energy every day. And I mean, like every day, you don't have to do all the things, but you need to do something. So like a salt bath, grounding is a meditation where you kind of release a selected energy into the earth from your aura and body. And here you would focus on, you would ask for the curse to be released, or ill will and negative energy to be released, harmful energy. I generally like to say all foreign energy. It is foreign energy, so yes. It will wear it down. So if you do that every single day and you emphasize your own sovereignty over your own energy, kind of saying, this bubble is my space. This is where my being exists, and no one else is allowed to intrude on it. It will push out and erode curses as well as other people's influence generally from you over time. And it's just kind of working into that and enforcing your will. So that daily habit is extremely important. And also, if you're not cursed, you could think about doing that because it'll keep you from experiencing just issues generally. Mm-hmm. And that's usually what I instruct all the time for people wanting to develop their abilities or do pretty much anything. I tell everyone, you should probably do this. So, oh, Corinne says, you have a rainbow aura. Well, thanks. I'm not surprised. So that's just the beginning of the advice. Mm-hmm. You can wear it down over time, no matter who done it or what it is or whatever, but you have to do it every single day consistently, probably for months and months to wear it down. And you should start slowly observing a difference in yourself and in your life. So cleansing your energy and pushing out foreign energy, emphasizing this is your self people aren't allowed, and kind of like practicing psychic shields and personal boundaries, not just energetically, but psychologically. It does matter. You were saying something about how we can make curses afflicted on us worse. So, like if you have issues with codependency or being self-critical, or you hate yourself, you are more susceptible to those negative influences and curses. And if you do have them, you will make them way worse, because
Yes.
deep down you believe that you deserve bad treatment and to suffer. So
Right.
self-healing is important. If you have codependent tendencies, or if you're self-critical, please work on healing that. Whether you're cursed or not, it's a good thing. But if you are cursed, that will also wear it down, because if you genuinely believe deep down that you're worthy and you deserve to take up the space you do and to breathe air, people trying to make you suffer will be less effective, because you're like, I don't deserve to suffer. I believe I'm a generally good person. I deserve the minimum of at least living my life in peace. It does make a difference. It makes a difference.
It makes a very big difference.
That's foundational, you know? How do elements assist us in our spirituality? Like salt. How does it cleanse? So elements are pure. They come from nature, and they don't really have like emotions or taints in them. Those are put on them by us. So when we connect with an elemental object like salt, we are attuning ourselves to kind of the natural, pure state of things that exist in the universe.
Absolute neutrality.
So we're returning ourselves to that neutrality by using that as a tool. You could actually do it without any of those things, but it's a bit trickier. So they help. That's kind of how. I've never thought about it before, so thanks for asking. So those are the basics of how to wear down curses. It's really simple advice, but it works if you actually do them consistently over a long period of time. And the mindset is important and will help you so much. If you believe you deserve to be punished, you're going to have a much harder time. Sage salt about candle. I think I don't understand your question, I'm afraid.
So, I was going to say a thing and then it like popped right out of my head.
Well, I guess you weren't supposed to say it.
Oh, I used to be cursed.
Oh, yes.
I used to be very, very, very cursed. And thanks to Lysander, I am no longer very, very, very cursed. But an interesting tool that I have used to negate curses and stop them from touching me at this point is a spirit doll, which is a doppelganger. So this doll this is my doppelganger, and she has been given the intention of taking ill will for me, which is always an option if you are prone to negative attack.
Creating a proxy for it to land on instead of yourself is very good. You'll want to cleanse it once in a while as well.
Oh yeah. Make sure you clean it. Otherwise it'll overflow and you'll get it anyways. But this is also a very good tool if you tend to attract negative energy from people. Having a doppelganger is a great way to avoid some of that.
Tools are very good if just as like extra systems in place, or if you are not able to do other things to help yourself.
Now, it won't get rid of a curse that's already on you, but it can stop additional negative energy, ill will, and curses from touching you.
Burning a candle. Yes, any element could be helpful. The salt baths work to cleanse you. They do. They're pretty awesome. Obviously, it's about your intention, so be sure when you're putting things into the water that you say what you want the ingredient to do, and when you're soaking in the water, focus on your intention in a peaceful, passive kind of way.
And one salt bath is not going to take off a curse. Make sure you're doing something daily until the effects are notable.
Daily for months, maybe even like a whole year. It really just depends on what you're dealing with. If so, how long will we have to use the salt to get cleansed? Let's see. Donation for PayPal account. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally optional. So
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
you know, the thing about asking for donations is that, you know, if people want to do it, they can. That's why it's a donation. It's not going to change the fact that we are actively helping people and giving them very good advice. So, you know, you are welcome to your thoughts on the matter, but everyone who asks for a reading today is going to be read for free, and the donation is entirely up to them. So,
yeah, sorry guys. I can't actually block people on the computer, so I have to pull up my phone to do it.
so apologies for the disruption, everyone. For those of you that tune in and talk to us regularly, you know that we're not asking anything. So, love to all of you that, you know.
All right, they're gone.
Cool.
Okay.
Bye, dude.
Thanks. Thank you for your input. That's what people say to critical thoughts in their head. Thanks for your input.
Thanks for your input.
Cancel. Okay. Does that doll have a spirit, aka alive? Well, not like
No.
we are.
No. What it is, my spirit doll has a small fragment of my own energy in it so that it attracts that ill will to it. So if it's directed at me, then it goes straight there. So yes, my doppelganger does have a little bit of my energy in it so that it attracts everything sent my direction. And I clean it and kind of recycle that energy so that it doesn't
Alright.
get stale or separated from me for too long. I very rarely have to actually clear my doll. It's not like I have people attacking me all the time. It's just a really great way to ensure that I stay my whole true peaceful self, regardless of what happens in the world around me.
There's more advice for how to remove things, but you're catching on comments. You also answered Amanda's thing. I'm glad.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Carrie says, I heard Epsom salt is good for releasing, zero particular salt is best for cleansing after tarot reading to get rid of people's energies.
Black salt.
As far as the best, they all work. All salt
will help you. Especially if you're a reader and everything and you're trying to clear off energies that don't belong to you. Black salt is actually the best salt for that because I guess it's just because it's black, honestly. It negates things. It kind of pushes them off of you.
Yeah.
Good day.
Himalayan salt, the pink salt, is also kind of a big wiper. If you bathe with Himalayan salt, I would suggest doing it with just cleansing your mind because as a way of negating all of your other ingredients. You're trying to do multiple things because in a bath you could put in like regular salt and lavender and some other things, so it's cleansing and helps and gives you peace and stuff. With pink salt, it's just kind of like whoosh.
Mm-hmm.
So
either of those is good, but all salt will work.
Yeah, including Epsom salt.
Thank you, Victoria.
That's good for your skin. All right.
Some people can't let others be happy. They have to throw their trollness into the mix just because they are unhappy and they want others to be unhappy, and
that just must be so miserable.
I feel bad for them, honestly.
Where can you get black salt? I don't know. Could Google it.
I was gonna say honestly, online.
We don't. I've never actually used it, so I don't know.
Occasionally, you can find them at metaphysical stores or New Age stores, but online is probably your best bet. Most of the black salt I've worked with in the past has been from Hawaii.
Yeah. So also, I think it's important to define what we mean by black salt, because when you buy black salt, it's not always the same stuff that makes it black. So the best black salt is salt that is naturally black.
Yes.
Not full of like ashes or dye or other things they've added.
You want to find actual black salt, not dyed salts.
It's usually, it'll be volcanic.
Mm-hmm.
Volcanic salt is black. So I would just say make sure you read the ingredients, because a lot in like pagan stores, it's usually a dyed salt or it has like ashes in it. And it's up to you. That works for some stuff. It just would be my preferences and actual. It came out of the earth black.
Right.
Okay.
You tend to get more out of it. How much sea salt to use in a bath? It really is up to you. You can just sprinkle a little bit in there. You don't need to like soak yourself in salt.
It's about the energy in the ingredients. So it could be like this much.
Yeah. That's why I recommend things like black salt. It tends to be more expensive, but you really only need to put a pinch in there for it to have the effect that you're looking for.
I mean, obviously, you can put as much salt as you
I
want.
was going to say, if you really enjoy a nice salt bath, however, feel free to put a full cup of salt in there. I've done that before.
I've put like 3 or 4 cups. But because you want the energy of the object, you really just need part of it. And if you're really familiar with energy manipulation, you could call the spirit of salt into the water without actually having salt. So, that's a subject for another time.
People are misguided. I wouldn't say people are evil. I would say people are misguided, and a lot of people are incapable of understanding how other people feel. They only act on their own narrow view.
All right. What about the effects of bathing in the sea? Awesome. Especially
Awesome.
if you're connected to the elements of water personally.
If you have access to natural water, salt baths are really just a way of connecting to a more natural state of water. It goes through our pipes. It doesn't have a very strong natural water to it. When you add salt to it, you're kind of bringing out the energies of water. If you have access to a lake or a river or an ocean, by all means do that instead. The effects of bathing in the sea are far greater. You're getting not only the salt and not only the water, but you're getting all of that strong, energy going through you. It's purifying and energizing.
Rain is good.
Rain is also good. I like to dance in the rain.
So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the water in your home. It's highly processed and has been through a lot of machines, but that's good. That's what you want. You want clean water.
You want clean water, yes.
If you have access to natural water, that is very good energetically.
Hopefully in a few months I'll be able to tell you whether or not playing in snow is a good clear or not. We just moved to snow, so I haven't actually
Snow's
energetically played with snow.
Purifying. Obviously, it's not the same as being in free-flowing water. It's its own kind of thing. Anywho, continuing on until there are more questions of how to remove a curse for yourself. So those are basic things. If you just set a good foundation of daily habits and a mindset, that will erode things, like I said, over time and also prevent additional stuff. Now, some other methods. Yes?
Other methods of what?
Oh, you look like as though you want to say something. No? You're just excited?
Just here.
Okay, so other methods of removing curses. All right.
I'm excited to get to the reading part of the day. That's all I am. I'm just like, are we done? Can we start reading people? Start doing stuff?
Yes, I'm excited to get that as well. Obviously, if you know how to manipulate energy, you can just pull them off of you. And that is the quickest way.
I know how to manipulate energy, and I can't pull curses off of me. So if you can't do it, it's fine. This one's just very good at it.
So I'm trying to think. I haven't instructed a lot of people of how to do it for themselves. The advice I already gave you is what I tell people to remove it from.
It is
themselves.
honestly
It's
the best
way to do it. It just takes a lot of time, so you have to be patient and put in the work. I mean, you don't want to be cursed, do you? So just put in the effort.
And it's also building habits that keep you protected and keep you safe as well.
So there are things that if you're on a spiritual path, you should be doing anyway.
Answering to Amanda's question, anytime you take a salt bath, you want to reinforce your protective spells. You want to reinforce any kind of work you do on yourself, because salt is going to clear everything. Good or ill, it's going to clear everything. That's what salt is meant to do. Giving salt intention does help it target certain things, but you always want to reinforce your protections and everything just to be safe.
No, that's good to do anyway. You should always be reinforcing your will regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, if you've been doing it for a few years, your energy can reflexively do your protections, but you have to invest like years of habit building first for it to kind of do it on its own.
Which is one of the reasons to take this path in trying to remove curses from yourself, because it does establish that behavior of taking the time every day to enforce your will, to create your protections, to ensure your boundaries.
So,
These are always good things to have.
so if you are cursed, it will help you a lot.
If you're not
if
cursed,
you're not,
it's
you
going to
should always do
protect
them
you from
anyway.
being cursed.
So very simple but effective, and you just have to be patient. Also, I just remembered another thing I usually suggest is to actually invest in your spiritual path, like inviting in your higher deities and guides to protect you, inviting their influence into your life, asking to connect with your patron deities or whatever higher power you ascribe to, inviting it in to your life, because higher beings respect our free will, so they can't just like help. Generally, they have to be invited in some way. So pursuing that, connecting with your spiritual foundation will also strengthen you and reduce that influence. Deities can assist in the eroding down and removal of curses as well, or at least protect you from their effects.
Oh, that was just me taking notes on things I wanted to make sure we didn't forget to cover.
Okay. I'm just trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. I don't think so. They're really nasty, especially because I see them, and removing them makes a huge, huge difference. It can feel like we're cursed, but sometimes there's other stuff going on that can be as detrimental, but is just not technically a curse, or we're doing things to ourselves. Oh yes, you could curse yourself also. And it's kind of like the same way anyone else would curse you. If you have enough negative feelings towards yourself, you can really hurt yourself energetically. So again, it's important to work on that. All right, I think we are ready to move. What is a deity? Like a god or goddess?
Yes.
That's just a synonym.
Whether you ascribe to Source, God, Allah, the Olympians, the
Egyptians.
Gede, it doesn't matter. Deity is a word for a god or goddess, effectively. Okay, so
I want to run to the restroom real quick, but then we will do free mini readings.
List.
Oh, well, it's usually easiest to go one at a time. I mean, you can make a list if you want. So if you would like
I was going to say, for those of you that have been hanging out and keeping us company for the last hour, if you would like a reading specifically to see if you have a curse, we're not going to talk to spirits today. We're not going to
read about anything else.
About your love life.
It's just about curses. If you have one, or if you have some other thing
if you suspect that you have a curse, give us your name and your favorite color, and we will start a list.
All right. So be sure you comment your requests now. We're not going to scroll back and find
I'm not
them.
scrolling back. Comment now.
So they are free. Obviously, if you would like to donate, you can do so through the PayPal link in the description of this video, and they are very much appreciated.
It's how we
but
eat.
It is optional. This is what we do for a living. So,
all right.
I will be back.
Oops.
Sorry,
Scooch.
I hit the microphone.
Now I'm in the short chair. All right, guys. Okay. Let's see. Again, please make sure you comment with your favorite color. All right, Jen, I've got you. Okay. Blue. Thank you, Jen. Just working on my list here. Okay. All right, so I have Jen, Della, Amy, Corrine, Tamanda, and Victoria. Have you all written down? So we'll start with the 6 of you. Gotta get out of Lysander's spot. He gets the leader chair. There we go.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I get to sit in the corner.
Okay.
So for all 6 of you that we have currently, we're going to go in order as those requests were given. And we will be looking specifically to see if you have any curses on you and hopefully where they came from. Okay? All right.
All right. So first is Jen. I'm going to scroll up to see the full name. Monteleone.
That's the one.
So I'm going to connect with your energy now. I'll be right back. Taking a moment to observe. So when I ask to be shown curses, sometimes other things do show up that I wouldn't necessarily categorize as that. So I'm really just trying to determine the nature of what I'm looking at. Thank you. Just bringing tea. Can I ask for your input?
Of course, that's what I'm here for.
Should I describe what I'm seeing?
Absolutely.
So for Jen, I see an image of her and I ask to be shown any curses. However, sometimes other things show up which technically are not.
Mhm.
On her right wrist, I see a wristwatch and its color changes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's pink or leather, and it makes me think of and it's connected to an energy sweeping over her this side like a giant black and blue whale, and it
Okay.
makes me think of childhood and like science and marine
Is it
things.
ticking?
No, it is a stopped watch. So there's a clear connection to time.
Mhm.
So this is I hesitate to designate it as like a curse per se, but it's something that you have done to yourself, I would say. It's kind of like holding on to a time in her life,
Mhm.
holding on to a time in your past. And while it is understandable to do so, that kind of hinders your life after that point in marked ways. And there's this connected to this huge dark energy over you. So I've really just been trying to feel it out. The ways I see it looking like and the associations may not be literal.
They're not literal. They're all meant to be symbolic so that Lysander understands what he's seeing. Okay.
Okay, so that's mostly I was trying to decide, is this a curse? Kind of, but it's not inflicted by an external source.
This is, you could kind of call it a self-imposed limit.
Yeah, that's a better term.
So you would have to figure out what the symbols all mean to define specifically what limitation has been set. But the watch stopping indicates that at some point we put a stopper on something happening within us.
It's on the right hand, which I associate with your ability to affect changes in your life and to accomplish goals and to create things. You may struggle with aspects of those things. That, or you may have a penchant for recreating, just kind of repeating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected to this energy over you. So it's like something that looms over you.
You
it's like this
described it
large,
as a whale.
Yeah, it's a large, dark whale.
And what exactly would you associate to whales?
They're kind of, I actually view whales as ominous. So,
If you were a small creature in a big ocean, that whale would be doom and gloom.
yeah, so I actually view them as they're a little spooky. So to me, the watch makes me think of one's childhood. The whale, so probably an old, so maybe relating to an old fear, which may have never passed, and feeling like this thing is always hanging over you, if you manage to not really pay attention to it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Typically, if it's childhood related, then it's something that we've forgotten about. A lot of the limitations we set on ourselves, we set them as children and then just forget. And that's one of the reasons that it does develop into something so debilitating, because we've forgotten why we set that limit for ourselves in the first place. The fast answer is, can you get rid of it?
I can remove it. However, if you don't change the base, the thing in your mind, the pattern in your mind that created it, then it will reform eventually. That's the trouble with things we put on ourselves, is that unless we deal with the root that created it, it'll just come back. Obviously, removing it is still good because it can make it easier to change. It's like, let's say, changing our growth is like walking up a hill, and the curse or limit is like holding a giant rock while trying to walk up the hill. A healing would just kind of take the rock out of your hands. It's a lot easier to walk up the hill, but you still have to do it. So to me, it feels like a fear that has from a time in the past that where it's like you never went beyond that, or a part of you is still in that time, or living as though you're in that time. That can happen with fears. The most extreme example is like PTSD, where you respond to a stimulus as though it were the original situation, but it's not. I don't know if that makes sense at all. Um, and so that kind of colors the way that you accomplish things and move forward. This thing is always kind of there. Just trying to think of how to be more specific. It's something that you can't really see, it's in the shadows. So I feel as though there's a good chance you're not particularly aware of it or its influence. Okay, so
I had a feeling she was responding.
So are we doing? Yeah. Okay. Great. So I will, if I think I can remove it in one go, I will be doing that for people.
If you want it.
If you want it, so please say yes. Otherwise, this is something that you can work on yourself, and that you're going to have to anyway. Even if I do remove it, otherwise it'll just.
In this case, Jen, you probably benefit most from taking the time to try and move this off of you on your own. That way you're able to connect with yourself and with what's happening and establish that healthy circulation within your own energy. But it can be removed if you would like it removed.
Yeah, you have to comment that you want that. So the advice I gave for removing it will work, as well as working on yourself from a psychological standpoint, kind of observing, going into yourself and finding that. Am I not tending to it well enough?
No, I just thought since you're the one doing the readings, it would be more sensible for me to have the mouse.
Okay. If you're into meditating, something you could do to try to connect with it is just get yourself focused and meditate, and you can touch your wrist and imagine that you're touching the watch, and kind of imagine the darkness over you and just ask yourself, what is this, or what is this fear? What is this is usually a great question to start with, and just allow whatever answer there is to come. That would be ideal. Okay, so I will do that. However, it's very important for you to note that you are still going to have to do the work to resolve that. Otherwise, it will come back eventually. I feel because of its nature that it would take some time to reform. So that's good. All right, all you have to do is relax and breathe.
While Lysander's doing that, I'm going to address this question by Avalie. I attract narcissistic people. Is that a curse? It could be. Attracting narcissistic people is not necessarily a curse. We oftentimes put out energy that attracts like energy. That's not to say that you're narcissistic, but that you might have had so many experiences with narcissistic people that that is what you've come to expect. And because you've come to expect it, that's what you're drawing to yourself. So you may want to think a little bit about whether or not that's a possibility before pursuing it as a curse.
So I've removed the limitation and the darkness. The whale itself actually represents that issue. So that is staying there because that's something that you need to resolve for yourself. The darkness has been removed, so it may be easier to be aware of it, which may be very unpleasant for you. So you may have felt something, or you may not have. Either is fine. Sometimes the results of a healing are able to be felt immediately, and sometimes it takes time to live into them. Again, the symbol of the actual issue is still there. It's just what was hiding it has been removed. So you may find yourself becoming aware of things you weren't before, or thinking about things that happened in the past in a different way. And there's a good chance that that may be uncomfortable or unpleasant for you. Just bear with. Healing is often uncomfortable or even awful.
Della, if you're still on here, please let us know. Avalie, yeah. That's why I said to take a minute to think about your experiences, especially growing up. Think about your parents or other adult figures that were in your life. Were they narcissistic? Did you become accustomed to that particular energy? And is that what you're attracting to yourself out of comfort? I personally attracted all kinds of narcissistic and negative people to me most of my life because I was accustomed to that from my own parents and the people around me. So when I went into a room full of strangers, I was not only attracted to the narcissist in the room, they were attracted to me. And it's amazing how much we perpetuate that energy.
I want to say something to Jen.
Yes.
So, I need a moment. It's really important for me to remember what I was saying. Just trying to hold on to it.
Sorry.
You say meditation is hard for you because you feel very anxious. When next time you do so, you're avoiding the issue. You need to lean into the anxiety and dig deeper into where the feeling is coming from. Feelings don't come from nowhere. We just fool ourselves into thinking they do because we don't want to deal with the source of them. So don't let the anxiety be a deterrent. It means keep going. That's all.
Okay, so Della is still here, and her color is pink.
It's Della L. Burge.
So Avalie, in that case, it is a possibility that there is a curse involved in attracting narcissists to you if you don't have that history. It's just always good to take a minute to judge whether or not there could be something more happening there, whether it's a psychological or emotional connection to those types of people. If you don't believe that there's anything like that, there is a chance that there is a curse involved there. And that is definitely something that can be looked into. One of the best things to do is to definitely focus on creating better boundaries, making sure you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable to people, because a lot of times narcissists feed on that and they seek out people that they perceive as weaker. So maybe focus a bit on giving yourself better protections, forming more boundaries, and keeping distance and security from people, and see whether or not that helps as well.
Della, so I'm reading your energy and I do not perceive a curse on you. However, I do see a lot of orange here, which suggests being stressed, and the energy around you is negative. So I see two things in this. One is that, for the sake of time, I'm just going to be kind of straightforward. It's the feeling is that your perspective is very narrow, and so it kind of shuts out other people and things going on around you, like really seeing and experiencing them. And that combined with the stress is kind of creating the perception of the things you're struggling with. But it's also saying that the reason you kind of perceive things in this way is that there's the negative energy around you is from an external source. So it's like a lot of influences. However, I'm not sure that they are current or it's just kind of you being attracted to more of the same. It's like something where when you were younger, there's like strong negative influences. So for survival's sake, you responded by only seeing this much in front of you instead of looking at all this and seeing things for what they are and the adults around you for who they were. And that state has persisted to this day. And so obviously that would have an influence on you, how you respond to the world and how you would perceive things and make decisions, which would in turn affect your life and the world, and other people subconsciously respond to that, or you're not really present or fully available to them. That's what I perceive. So it is something for you to work through and work on. You may or may not agree or may not quite see that. Unfortunately, it's one of those things of when someone has a perceptual limitation, that also includes blocking their ability to see that fact. So that's what I perceive on you. The good news is that you're not cursed.
Continuing with Avalee for a moment. It's great to be nice and it's great to care, but ultimately the only person who can be in control of what happens to you is you. And if you're allowing these negative people into your life, that's not a curse, that's a choice. It's a matter of discernment. If you're not trusting your intuition about people and you're not trusting your impressions of them and you're letting them in, then you're allowing them to be negative towards you. And in the case of narcissists, they always will be. There's no such thing as rehabilitating a narcissist. The cardinal issue with a narcissist is they don't think there's anything wrong with them. So you can't hope that they're going to be better. You have to protect yourself first and foremost. So it's great that you're nice and it's great that you care, but you need to learn how to have better boundaries.
May I add to that? Gosh, I'm having a hard time retaining my thoughts at the moment. I feel like everyone should read this book, so I'm going to suggest it to you as well. It's called Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. It sounds like you may have a codependency problem that attracts narcissists. Even if you had a good, loving beginning, our culture has a way of making us codependent, especially women. Women are expected to do everything and
be nurturing and
to everybody, no matter if they deserve it or not. So please read that. Everyone should at least once. It will probably make you extremely uncomfortable, but persist through. I would say that's your most likely the culprit, and that kind of enters into it's your choice, but you're not really aware that you're choosing that because codependency is terrible.
The other thing to keep in mind is even if you don't believe yourself to be codependent, or even if you aren't, the book is an excellent read because it helps you identify narcissists, it helps you identify other people who are codependent, and it kind of gives you a strong idea of what is meant by healthy boundaries, and it gives you tools and resources on how to create healthy boundaries. So this book isn't just for people who have codependency, it's a book that everyone can benefit from.
Yes.
So it is a good suggestion. We have both read it multiple times. It's not only made our relationship stronger, but it allows us to have healthy relationships with others.
It changed my life, no joke. Right, the other things I was going to say is when it comes to follow what you said, when people show you who they are, believe them.
It's Codependent No More.
Oh, I'll type it. Just press there. This book is freaking revolutionary. Dependent No More.
I hope that was helpful, Della. Oftentimes, especially in my own case, I am here in this conversation as someone who has not only dealt with curses, but has actually managed to curse themselves multiple times. I also have a bad habit of creating my own PK manifestations that haunt and torture me. I'm so good at these things. Um, but it's very important to understand a lot of the times we have a lot of control over not only how curses affect us, but how we affect our own lives. And if we can't see everything around us, sometimes we kind of get lost in what we're doing and how we're affecting ourselves, especially on an energetic level. So, all right, that was Della. Just a reminder to everybody who's tuned in the last few minutes here, we are doing free mini readings. We have a list going at the moment. Once we have finished the next 4 people, we will ask again if anyone would like to have their readings done. So if you are open to sticking around, then we will get to you eventually. There is a link in the description for donations. Donations are entirely optional. However, this is how we make a living. It is thanks to all of the generous donations and love that we have received that we have managed to come this far in our lives, and we have our brand new home and everything to thank for it. For the first time in our lives, we actually have a home that is ours, which is amazing. So donations are entirely optional. They are most appreciated. We are very grateful. But we are going to continue on with our readings at this point. So Amy, let's see, I'll get you. That's it right there. You didn't get skipped, sweetie. You're next.
Yes, there's a list in order.
There is a list in order. You are next.
So be mindful the comments as they appear on your screen may appear in a different order on our screen. So don't assume whether or not you've been skipped or not.
So, Amy, you are next. You didn't get skipped.
So,
love, you're good.
What's your color?
Purple.
All right, so I'm going to connect to your energy and read for you. And yes, that is an important note I've not talked about much. Obviously, it's a big deal to get our own apartment, but this is the first apartment or home together we have ever had. We've been renting a room in someone else's house for several years, so it is a big deal, and we thank you.
I have literally never had my own home. I have had to rely on the kindness of my friends my whole life. I've been homeless multiple times. So for us to be in a position to have our own home is such a big deal. And it really is magical. And it is because of all of you. So
I know I don't emphasize it enough, but
you,
really,
Victoria.
we're not just saying it. It is a huge deal, and
Yeah.
it is because of your support of our work.
Yes.
So your donations do make a significant difference and are very important. But they're also optional because we do want to help.
We're here to help people. If you want to help in return, that's on you. And we love and appreciate all of you just for being here, and all those cute little hearts that we get on the screen. That's worth it right there. All right, Amy, here we go. Deep breath.
So I know you can pick up on me.
So no, that's
so
a thing.
That you, I'm sorry
That's
to
a thing.
inform you that you do have one. And there's something very interesting happening with your energy, and it feels very, it kind of gives me a sickly feeling.
For what it's worth, I knew that one was going to be a thing. So
it's very interesting. You appear wearing ancient clothing, kind of like a medieval princess. And I see you kind of like turning, and there's a breeze going. So it's like you're being tossed about by the wind. And the curse appears as a black ring uh, above the pelvis, like stomach. So as she's showing, and it's like floating slightly in front of the body. So it's not in you, it's like right there. And there's the feeling of it being like a pipe. So it's like there's energy spinning. So show it again.
Mhm.
So it's like I see the energy spinning. It's like inserting here and it flows up out through your crown. So it's not good.
That's really bad.
So that's a different. I mean, each one is very individual. So I'm just going to take a moment to feel some more information about it.
No, just commenting to the
Okay.
fact. You focus on you.
So I apologize that this is the case. While I continue to connect to you, I kind of have this feeling on my forehead, kind of like being hit here is the impression. So you're like constantly caught in this violent current of energy. I feel like the source is a male. I'm really just trying to determine the a win. I
It's
have a
old.
strong inclination that it's from a past life, especially because of the way you are dressed. So
It's-
a
yeah.
few hundred years, I'm sorry to say.
It's a very old curse. It's probably followed you for quite some time, unfortunately. And you would absolutely feel that in a physical way. Having digestive problems is a very literal
So it would
example of how that's manifesting.
So it would affect all the organs and processes here the most and here the most.
If you have problems with your memory, or you have bouts of getting foggy or anything like that, that would also be an effect that you would feel in this case.
So the way it functions is I feel as though the energy is most likely being channeled from him,
Mhm.
whoever he is. So he still exists. Otherwise, it would be an inert pipe, as it were. And it's kind of like keeping you trapped in a way because you're spinning around. You can't really like move or escape. So it's keeping you in a particular state or keeping you stuck in some manner and keeping you unable to get your bearings to sort yourself. Because I see you as spinning, so you're like unable to focus and confused and disoriented on a spiritual level. So that is it's kind of controlling in that way. He's not trying to have a specific effect on you. He's just keeping you
Small.
He's keeping you.
He's keeping you from being greater, as it were. I don't get the impression that this individual is in your life currently, but they have continued to move through their lifetimes and they do continue to exist. So
And
that energy is still
Feed their
continuing.
energy into you.
It is still continuing to be fed to you. So wherever he is in this world, he has no idea who you are or that it even exists, most likely.
And he is being constantly drained of his own energy.
So he
to
is
keep
probably
this up.
suffering pretty significantly himself. So let's give it back to him. How's that sound? Let's take care of that. So please just breathe deeply and release.
Yeah. After this, we need to explain what to do after healing because this is not a small thing I'm
No.
taking off. Okay. So it's going to feel, if you are sensitive at all, it'll feel pretty weird.
So keep in mind as you're breathing the thought of releasing, letting go.
So I'm just closing it because it's a current first. Oh, I'm getting like images of that past. But the current has been shut down.
Just keep that to yourself.
Yeah. So now I'm going to remove this. So focus on I willfully release this connection. I let this person go and whatever they may have meant to me once. All right, he's gone, and because he's not consciously aware of you wherever he is currently, you're not really in much threat of him trying to reimpose it. There you go.
Take a moment and breathe. Make sure you've let go. Self-care after serious energetic work.
So this was not a small thing. Ideally, if your schedule allows it, you'll probably want to just go to sleep or take a nap. For the quickest energetic recovery, I suggest people eat red meat, or in lieu of that, because vegetarians, a heavy, comforting meal, and chocolate is helps one spiritually recuperate, as amusing as that might sound. So those are the main things: rest, eat heavy food, and chocolate. Drink lots of water, and be kind to yourself. You may have felt something now or not. You may notice a difference now, or it may unfold over time. Allow yourself to adjust.
All right. Hopefully that helps you.
Just comment, or curious. I want to see the comments too.
Of course. I'm just trying to keep an eye on things while you're doing stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure that in a lot of ways it'll probably feel uncomfortable because your energy is used to being subjected to that for so long.
Yeah. The thing to remember is, especially curses that came with you into this life, or you were born with it, you're going to be accustomed to feeling a certain way. that doesn't necessarily mean that you've been feeling healthy. So it may take a little while for you to adjust to how things adjust and realign. So just take care of yourself. Make sure you're getting plenty of rest.
Tamana asks, red meat is good for us spiritually. I know this goes flagrantly in the face of popular thought. I would say when it comes to diet, do what makes you feel good. All of our bodies and souls are very individual, so different foods are nourishing to us. So my advice is general, and something I've noted for myself is that something as heavy as red meat grounds us back into our bodies and provides the most energy and sustenance the most quickly.
The reality of the matter is, no matter what ideas you ascribe to, life consumes life, and whether you're eating plants or animals, you are eating a life. Red meat just happens to have more iron and more of the nutrients that, for whatever reason, our bodies need, especially to replenish the energetic aspect of what we are.
So if it makes you feel bad or sluggish, or you have ethical objections to it, you don't have to eat red meat. It's just a general suggestion. So that's why I also tend to suggest meals that are heavy and comforting to you.
So, okay. So that's why red meat. It very well could be someone in your life.
It's not someone that's in your immediate vicinity.
Yeah, it's not someone that you have contact with every single day. And this did happen a very, very long time ago. However, those prejudices and those soul pools, the people that we knew thousands of years ago in one life, typically are within our sphere of knowing in this life. Souls tend to stay in groups together as they travel from life to life. So it is very possible it's your uncle. We didn't take the time to actually do a reading on you. We simply wanted to remove that curse and get you moving forward on your best path. And thank you. I like my hair too.
So I do not feel like it's someone you interact with. Otherwise,
we would have said so.
So I'm sure you don't have positive feelings about that person, that he did practice negative things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not worry too much about him being the culprit. No, as we explained, your curse is from a past life hundreds of years ago. So it has nothing to do with the people in your life now, even though that does sound like a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the thing about, you've only seen him once or twice, that doesn't count as someone in your immediate sphere. So just don't talk to him ever again. I think it's very possible that that could be the connection from way back in the day. But this curse did come from a past life some time ago. So it's something you've been carrying with you for a very long time. And hopefully by correcting it, you'll have a greater boost of energy and awareness and the like.
All right, who's next?
Corinne
Chappelle.
Are you still here? You're next.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, that does sound like a hot mess, but your curse is ancient.
You don't need to lean into the mic.
Sorry, it's just habit.
Are you drinking your tea?
I am.
Should I warm up your food? You haven't eaten.
I'm not hungry.
Pet. This is the love of my life, by the way. Pet. All right, my love.
So what do I need to do now? The things we suggested earlier, even though it was to remove curses, they're good habits generally. So sleep, drink lots of water, eat a comforting meal, eat chocolate.
The
nice.
Aztecs were onto something with the chocolate.
Be nice to yourself.
Be very kind to yourself.
And continue on practicing good spiritual habits.
All right, so we're going to move on to our next reading. I hope that helped Amy. So, Corinne, and her color is blue. Let's take a minute, take a deep breath, Corinne. Let's Let your guard down a little bit. Deep breath. Let's get in there. Amy, yeah, just rest, eat a heavy meal, have some chocolate, take a salt bath if applicable. It does always help. You are very, very welcome. Sabrina, um, that sounds very serious. If it's a sensitive subject for you, I highly recommend that you send us a private message and we can discuss it with you. Um, Again, we'll extend the free reading to you just to see if we can help. So
Yeah.
please feel free to send Lysander a message and we would be happy to talk to you about it. I can understand why it would be a sensitive subject, and I think the preference would be to talk about it privately.
Some things are not appropriate for public. So about curses alone, anyone can message me anytime, and I won't charge anything because of the nature of this issue.
Yes. Especially if it is very sensitive or very private. You can always message us in emergencies and in dire circumstances. We do work with people. It is not about making money. It is about helping people. Please understand that. So, Sabrina, if you would just send us a message, we can discuss that sensitive subject more personally.
So I am observing your energy, Corrine. Oh, God. Well, you weren't cursed.
But no, thank you.
But you had something which is probably worse, but it's gone now.
Sometimes Lysander doesn't even bother to tell you what's wrong. He just know.
Yeah, I assume you saw that.
I tried not to.
So, well, I mean, I should say at least basically.
Basic.
So you had a very nasty entity hanging out around you,
Mm-hmm.
making your life horrible and making you suffer. They had some kind of personal thing against you, and they were influencing you to be mean to yourself. So they were like putting influence to make you want to erode your sense of self and to be cruel and self destructive to yourself. So it was a very bad thing, and I got rid of it, and it won't come back.
It reminded me of a wasp.
Oh, well, at the very least, it appeared humanoid to me.
Hey, Athena. I did write you down earlier. Thank you for giving me the color. I will be checking back on that and redoing the list in just a few minutes.
So now that I've gotten rid of that thing, I'm going to look at your energy again.
It was just a very nasty spiritual attachment, a very bad entity. And as soon as Lysander connected to you, it was very
Yeah.
notable.
Just wanted to get rid of it and not waste time talking about describing to you what it is. Obviously entities are aware of me when I step into the space and they react, so I had to kind of get on with it.
All right, so now we're going to check for other things.
So it is gone. However, it will probably take time for its influence to dissipate, or if you've gotten well into the habit of being self-effacing and destructive, unfortunately, you may continue to perpetuate its work. So I'm also going to do a basic cleansing. Again, the prior advice still stands. I would exercise daily cleansing and habits in your life that cultivate peace for yourself. I would focus on peace and self-acceptance. So all you need to do is relax. I'm just going to pull the negative energy off. And that'll be that. If you're in a position to, I would suggest that you now or as soon as possible go outside and stand in the sunlight if the sun is out, and breathe in the sunlight. If it's not, then just do it as soon as the sun is back again.
Okay, so tomorrow morning, get some sunlight.
You need to replenish yourself.
Sabrina, if you could just let me know what your favorite color is. I did write you down on the list, so we are slowly working our way down the list at the moment. So if you would just give me your favorite color, I will add you to the list and I will update it as we get closer to you.
All right, Kareen, I'm done with the work on you. I know I really didn't get into what was going on, but the point is there's an active malicious force, and now it's gone.
Thank you.
Um,
You are also on my list. I'm gonna butcher that name, aren't I?
which one?
Chandra.
Chandra.
Sandra. There you go. I do also have you on the list. Kind of writing people down as we go. It's going to depend on how long our live video goes. So I'm adding one person to the list as we get on. So I'm kind of timing it out. So hopefully we get to everybody. I will be posting the list as it continues.
All right. Again, friendly reminder, these are free mini readings. However, we do appreciate donations. So anyone who's inclined to do so, you can do so through the PayPal link in the description of this video. Thank you in advance.
Yes, please, please. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sabrina.
Pinned comment.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I'm keeping a list.
All right.
It's the easiest way for people to know where they are.
Who's next?
It's Amanda. Pink.
Right.
Amanda, are you still here? I'm sure you are. Are we connecting to Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I figured. We've spoken to her before. Eat lots of chocolate.
I would say this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's tricky. This person's a tricky Rick. Okay. Well, they're gonna have something coming, aren't they? Yes. I'm sorry to say. However, this is a sly person because it's not apparent unless you look at it from the right angle.
So unfortunately, to Amanda, it does look like you do have something on you. We will need to know whether or not you would like that removed, of course, but let's hear a little bit about.
So I'll show you how it appeared to me. So connecting to your energy, I see you in front of a tombstone and you're crying very vehemently. And then you suddenly bolt up and then strike out screaming in rage. And at first I was like, okay, it is almost trying to trick me. It's like, okay, so maybe this is just something you're dealing with. But then as you ran forward, because it's like a scene that's in repetition, you cry and then you strike out. And then suddenly I realize when you're running forward, you actually are hitting a force field. So it's like you're in this bubble. And I saw that bubble kind of fall into this darkness. And I see a woman holding this darkness. So this says that something's up to me. So the feeling of the woman is that it's someone living that you know. The feeling from her is mother or mother-in-law. I don't know that in-law is correct, but it would be like the mother of a lover
figure.
or mother figure. Authoritative female.
Authoritative female.
And so the curse in question is kind of like enveloping you in this great dark chasm and trapped in this like emotional loop of like acting out in futile rage and grief and loss. So it's almost like trapped in like a little loop that you repeat while also in a greater thing of darkness, so no one sees it or realize it. And it's interesting.
You just focus on you. I'll catch you up.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to get rid of it, Tamanda.
And this person is very aware
of what they're doing.
This
is like an odd thing to point out, but as soon as Lysander connected to the energy and everything, I feel like I need to sneeze. Like I'm like allergic to
this
person.
Yeah.
Which
she
is
may not literally look like this, but she appears as a well-dressed woman, and I associate the color purple to her, which is probably not good because purple usually indicates psychic sensitivity or ability to some degree. So this is very intentful, and I feel as though she has a very low subconscious awareness of me right now.
Just do it. Do it quickly.
All right. At least energetically, I am feeling from you a sense of being disoriented, which you may or may not feel. So I have moved it. I strongly encourage you to start practice psychic shielding. If you just Google it, there are plenty of perfectly decent methods. The foundation is you just need to put kind of a bubble around yourself and say absolutely nothing can pass this, and to firmly enforce that with your will. Feel like you have the right to your space. I'm going to set a protection on you, but I'm still encouraging you to do this because it won't last forever.
You should also, or you can also check out my page, The Kitchen Witch, And I have a video posted on how to do a rose cross, which is a very basic protection you can do for yourself.
There's a very specific method of binding that I use for people who are intending to harm. So she should be unable to re-afflict this for at least a little while, which gives you time to figure out how to defend yourself. If you have a sense of who this is, obviously not having any contact with them will help. I have a unique recommendation for you. Play aloud music that makes you feel very happy. The song that comes to mind for me is Age of Aquarius / Let the Sunshine In by, I don't remember who made it, but it's a pretty famous song. And to kind of imagine the sound waves permeating your energy and strengthening your sense of self and your shields, and just kind of the idea of being able to see what's going around you clearly and contentedness in life. Yeah. Psychic protection, that's it. Yes. It's always your will against the will of other people, so just will yourself to not be interfered with. Sounds simplistic, but it is important.
Anita, at the moment we do have a list going. I'm not taking any more requests at the moment, but once we get through the list as it stands, we will ask for other people if we have time. So you're welcome to stand by and watch and see if we've got a little extra time at the end.
All right. Victoria?
Victoria, I know you're still here. There you are.
All right.
And her color is red. We're out of tea.
I know.
Oh, no, we're not. We will be. I'm going to drink it. Do you need a break? Are you doing okay?
Mm-hmm. Just another day getting into fights.
Just a reminder to
Kicking butt.
Just a reminder to everyone as Lysander starts to tune into Victoria here. There is a link in the description if you would like to send us a donation for the work that we do. Donations are not required, but they are greatly appreciated. This is how we earn a living. We both work as sex and life coaches, and your support is what helps us move our lives forward. So completely optional. We're here to help you. If you're able to help us in return, that is up to you, of course. But that link is up there. Also, be sure to check out some of the awesome things happening not only on Lysander's page, but on my page as well, The Kitchen Witch. And of course, there is our Patreon for those of you who would be interested in joining our Facebook group. On that group, we do actually provide a lot more information on how to protect yourself. We're also doing interactive courses on developing your psychic abilities. And
the Patreon only group?
The Patreon only group.
Okay.
So when you join us on Patreon at any tiers start at $1 a month, you are able to join that group and learn all kinds of new things. So also be sure to check out our Patreon if you like what we do. And we're just gonna come back to Lysander here. I'm just here to mediate.
All right, Victoria Baker, you are not cursed.
Woohoo! You're not cursed.
And I don't actually see anything stand out going on with you at all. That is
the best news we've gotten all
yeah.
day.
That would be considered extraordinarily negative. There's nothing. So, yes, sometimes there are other things going on. It could be the way we perceive things, or having a bad day, or actual chance. Yes, it does exist. And so on.
For Anita. There's our Patreon right there. When you join Patreon, you become part of our community. We do lessons.
Yeah, the link to the Patreon is also in the description.
It's also in the description.
Okay, so
Because she was
just
asking.
digging to make extra sure. So again, not cursed, nothing extraordinary going on. I do see yellow on you right here, which suggests anxiety, especially if you do experience anxiety. There's a good chance that you are picking it up empathically, or it's just the result of being around too many people.
Yeah, I was going to say, I get the impression there's some empathic or sympathetic link going on there, though.
So I would say that, and it's not a specific person, it's just people you're around. So it's your own ability and sensitivity reacting either to other people's moods or just too much stimulus. So that's it.
A lot of what you might be experiencing that would be perceived as negative could also just be you picking up someone else's negativity or picking up their curses or bad fortune.
What's it called? Like sympathetic pregnancy. It's like sympathetic cursedness.
You need to just practice protecting yourself, but you yourself seem to be pretty okay. All of our links are in the description of this video, the donation link, as well as the PayPal or the Patreon link.
I can comment the links. Sometimes it is too much.
Yeah.
You have got to mind yourself. So the important thing to know is that you have the power to not feel all that crap if you put your mind to it.
Are you going to comment it or?
Yeah, I was going to comment it and then comment the other link.
Okay.
So here's the PayPal link for donations, and here is, I'm typing the Patreon link. Wait, .com. That was right. Freedom Dream Coaching. And that's our Patreon link where you can purchase a membership. Yes.
Oh no.
I feel like puking.
Yeah.
Like we said, but perhaps should emphasize more strongly, is that healing can have very strong effects, some of which are unpleasant. Having a lot of stuff lifted off of you can feel very bad, ironically.
Drink some water. I would recommend taking a bath or shower. Try to get yourself in water. Water's probably your best bet at this point. What was taken off of you was very, very bad and very nasty, and it's probably been kind of, oh my gosh, sorry, that was the cat landing. It's probably been suffocating you. So all that fresh air might be a little bit of a shock to your system. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well, Tamanda. Here's the baby. This is the little punky baby. Say hi, Katniss. Oh, little punky.
Little brat.
We want daddy. We don't want mama.
Oh, come here, sweetheart. I love her.
So I really hope that you start to feel better, Tamanda. I really do recommend that you drink lots of water and maybe submerge yourself in water. You might find that to be very cleansing, very helpful.
My sweet pea.
Athena, if you're still here, if you would please let us know. You are next on the list.
You want to lay down, Bubba? No. Can't see her, but she's curled up in my lap.
She is sweet bean. Our cats are both very magical and very empathic, so she is probably picking up on everybody that Lysander's been connecting to. She wants to come down and comfort. Oh, Nina Bobo. She's such sweet Bobo. We're going to shout out to Athena. There you are.
Right.
All right. Just give Lysander a moment here to pet Keenies.
Full name?
Right there.
I'm nearsighted. I don't want to lean forward and disturb the cat.
Loves.
Lopez. Okay. Color.
The color is turquoise.
All right. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all different. It's just every time it's just like, huh, interesting.
Everybody's a little bit different. Even when curses or energies are similar, it's going to be a completely new experience, really.
So it's like hard to pin down, but I feel like there is something.
It's almost like there's a target but not a curse. Like,
so there's this flashing on top of your head. There's this flashing light, and when I look into that light, it pulls up this image of being in this dark space. Do you know Sleeping Beauty by Walt Disney? The scene where she's walking up to the spinning wheel, and it's like a really dark, eerie room, and she's walking towards this light, and it's like a trap and a poison. So that's what I see, this same flashing light that's on top of your head. The image inside of it is you walking towards that light, like reaching out, about to touch it, and the intention is to put you to sleep.
I feel like there's no curse there yet. I feel like it's a target. Like, she's being targeted, but that the intention has yet to come to fruition. Which kind of coincides with what you're saying. I almost see it as like a,
like in Sleeping Beauty, the Maleficent curses her, but it doesn't really come into fruition until she's 16. So like years later, it actually enacts, but the intention was set. So it's that same idea. Someone having said, I curse you to have this awful thing happen to you at this point in the future. Or this thing will eventually come to be. I'm not sure that I understand the question.
I concur.
So, I'm just observing it to gain more information. Okay, so I'd like to kind of edit what I've said so far. It is an enchantment, which is a little different. So the purpose or function is that it kind of it makes you compelled to go towards things that are bad for you. Um, and kind of is something that clouds your perception and judgment when you come across the specific thing or situation. So that's kind of how it plays out. So, like feeling like an inexplicable compulsion to do something or to be involved with a certain kind of person. And it's like losing all ability to really see things as they are. Um, that's how energy comes across to me. So it's a little more complicated than a outright curse. It's like an influence that makes you react a certain way that is detrimental to you. It is clever.
Mm. The real question is, can you remove it, and would you like it removed?
Would you like this removed?
I think it's supposed to be that one.
What?
Yes, Athena, would you like this removed? That is the only question that matters here, truly.
I'm still looking at it.
So the answer is yes, please.
Okay. Um, I'm not getting much from it. I feel as though it's the result. It has resulted from a living person. Like someone making a wish for you, which also kind of correlates to the Sleeping Beauty mythos. It, what's the name of the movie where the fairy gave the gift of obedience to a child?
Oh gosh.
Is that Ella
It's Ella Enchanted.
Enchanted? Yeah, her fairy godmother gifts her with the ability of being super obedient. That's great. That's not as your thing isn't obedience, but it's kind of like the thing of someone having made a wish over you when you are like a baby, and that's result in this. And it's just kind of a bizarre thing, but it's going to go away now. Again, it may feel peculiar to not have it there. Sometimes adjusting to a healing is uncomfortable, so I apologize. What a peculiar and strong influence.
Looking good.
Yeah. So there's the light here, but it's like the energy of the thing permeated the entire body. So it pulled it all out. So I feel as though a potential effect is feeling very heavy.
It's just me. Margaret, yes, we can. You're welcome to message us privately if you feel that you have an issue like that that needs to be attended to.
So pH. I'm not sure. Yeah, little cat. What'd you do?
Cassandra, I will answer you in just a moment. Let's let Lysander finish off with Athena here.
I don't think that there's more to say. I feel as though you may feel peculiar because it was so permeating.
Hey, kiddo. Sorry, the kitten is misbehaving, as usual. Yes, misbehaving. I hear you. I hear the misbehaving. Would you like to go back to your shelf? Is that what this fuss is? You trying to figure out how to climb? Would you like to go back to your shelf? Mm-hmm. You look sleepy.
Oh.
You look like a sleepy kitten. Let's go if you don't let me.
Oh. I almost, the feeling is, I'm trying to point that out because I almost feel as though that there are some positive effects or influences from this thing that will no longer be present. It's kind of like the high from the drug being gone, and to not be discouraged by that feeling. So there's like some kind of sobering effect to it not being there. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And use the restroom and reheat my food, and then I will eat when I come back.
Fantastic. In the meantime, Cassandra.
What did I have?
I don't know. What did you... Oh, you just hit my necklace. I'm working on a mala. All right. Cassandra. Let's address your question here. Blood spells and the relation to curses and breaking it. How would I go about it if I wanted? And so blood magic is a very, very ancient form of magic, and depending on the type of blood used and how it's used, these kinds of curses and spells can be incredibly deep and not only follow you in every incarnation, but can actually curse your entire bloodline. So your ancestors, your children, your children's children can all be affected by a blood spell. It is also one of the worst forms of magic to cast because it actually deeply damages the caster. So the thing about curses that have been done with blood, if the individual used animal blood to enact the curse, there are ways for you to negate that. If they used their own blood to enact the curse, then so long as someone with that bloodline still lives to this day, the curse has to be severed from that bloodline in order for you to remove it, which is what makes them so very sticky and kind of gross, honestly. Sorry, that's my kitten.
Hey, Minnie.
So it would really depend on what you suspect the nature of the blood curse is. But yeah, there are all kinds of different things that utilize blood, not just curses, but also
Okay.
control spells. And do you want to get down? I thought you wanted to get up.
Are you okay, little cat?
She's being a little cat. Sorry, the kitten's being very fussy. Okay. So, yeah, if you have something more specific, I could probably... That was also the kitten. If you have something more specific you'd like to know, I'd be happy to give you more information. Earlier in this video, Lysander talked about ways to get rid of a curse on your own. The most effective, although time-consuming way to remove a curse for yourself is, yes, Tamanda, shielding is a form of psychic protection. The best way to remove a curse for yourself is to practice removing negative energy, clearing and fortifying your boundaries on a daily basis. If you go back into the beginning of this video, the first 20 minutes or so covers types of curses and how to remove them. That's probably the best way to get all of the information. But daily practice in kind of purging your energy, pushing out anything negative, clearing, and then fortifying boundaries. That is the best way. It may take months for you to remove the curse in its entirety, but it is the best way to remove a curse on your own. Ho-hum.
Excuse me.
I'm just glad you're eating something. I only made food for you 3 hours ago.
Oh, don't remind me. Okay. So I'm going to be eating.
So we're just going to chat for a couple of minutes, and then Sabrina, you will be next. So please let us know if you're still here. We're going to let Lysander eat a little bit first.
Juggling everything.
Yes.
All this table, it's still not enough room.
All this table. We have a huge table this computer is on, and there is still not enough space for everything. Here we go. What can adding your own blood to regular spells do? So anytime you add your blood to a spell, you are effectively tethering the spell to you on a physical level. What that means is, if you are cursing someone, you are tethering your will against them to your physical being. So as that spell continues to break down the individual you're attacking, it will continue to make you unwell. It will give you physical illness, injury, all kinds of problems. Blood magic is not a good thing. even with a good spell, you are physically tethering yourself to the effects of that spell. So if you are trying to heal someone, for instance, by giving them your blood, you are effectively giving them your health. So as they get better, you will gain their illness, or you will gain similar illness.
So if you do use it for things for yourself that are benevolent, especially if you want them to have a strong physical effect.
Right. Now, if you wanted to do that for yourself, obviously using your own blood to enact effects upon yourself tethers you physically to that spell. So blood magic isn't harmful when you're doing it for you, but even if you're doing it for a family member where the blood type is similar, your blood is not exactly the same as someone else's blood. So there will still be some level of echo or ill effect that's caused by that. Do you want me to put you up there or not? Oh my gosh, kittens, guys. Kittens. You're most kitten. Come back here. Sorry, that I don't need to leave you hanging while you're eating. She just doesn't want to life with me right now. I don't know. She just can't life. She can't handle it. Sometimes kittens just can't handle living.
Okay, quick note, you guys. Facebook has a limit of 4 hours for live videos.
Yes.
We're hitting the 3-hour mark, so we will run out of time.
We are going to run out of time. As I pointed out earlier, we are going to finish our current list. And if there's any more time, we can consider additional readings. At the moment, the list that is pinned in the comments, that is the rest of our list. So those 3 readings are what we are planning to get to. If we can get to additional readings, we will. Yeah.
Again, these are free mini readings, but donations are appreciated.
Donations are appreciated. I hope that's helpful, Cassandra. Blood magic is always very, very tricky to work with and ill-advised. There are other ways to do almost anything. I hope that's helpful. As Lysander was saying, donations are always super, super appreciated, although not necessary. Are you going to let me help you this time, kitten? Woodgar! There you go.
Kittens, man.
Kittens, man. All right, Sabrina, we'll be getting to you in just a moment. Let Lysander eat, poor puppy. I keep having to start over. Donations are always appreciated. We also have a Patreon. When you join us on Patreon, you become part of our exclusive Facebook community, which our Patreon tiers start at $1 for as little as $1 a month. You can become part of our exclusive Facebook family. We do classes, exclusive readings, and giveaways. It's an awesome opportunity to get to know us better. It's an awesome opportunity to ask a lot of questions and learn a lot, and become part of our little Patreon family. That link is in the description. But here it is, just in case. Patreon. Just remember, guys, free readings. You get a little bit of advertising. It's all good. And we are also available for actual readings at any time. There were questions earlier about ghosts and demons and the like. Please feel free to contact us anytime. If you are in an emergency situation spiritually, the two of us are here to help. First and foremost, we are here to help people. If we can sustain our lifestyle on it, we try to, but most importantly, we're here for all of you. So if you have a problem or a spiritual emergency and you need help, please don't hesitate to contact us. And if you would just like a reading of some kind, we're also here for you. We do specials for readings all the time, so just keep an eye out for that on Lysander's page. And if you're looking for ways to make your life a little bit more magical, check out my page, The Kitchen Witch. I have all kinds of recipes and tips on how to keep negative energy from your home, eat healthier, and keep a little extra magic going in your day. So that is the advert. We're going to move on. Sabrina, you will be next, so give us just a few more minutes. Let's see. What about those who were born into the royal bloodlines? Those people seem to be protected while using their magic for success. Is there any way to counter their influence? So, we talked a little bit earlier about how curses are never a good option. There are always other ways. If you feel that a political power is negative in any way, you can enact spells with the greater universe that allow for protecting the people. You can ask the universe for karmic or energetic balance, to see if that tips the scales in the right direction. You can also attempt to create blocks or walls that prevent them from continuing in the path that they are set in.
Yes. I feel as though she doesn't just mean politicians, but you know, like the really weird stuff of like families who have been powerful and wealthy for like ever.
Oh, no, I
and are
know.
used to ruling the world. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you can protect yourself from them.
You can protect yourself from them. That's why I said people in power. It's not necessarily their bloodline that's doing it. What a lot of people don't realize is that there's a certain mentality and a certain level of energy that we put out every single day. The more positive we are, the more we affirm that positivity, the better our lives become. That's us putting positive energy into the world and therefore attracting positive energy. People with a lot of money and a lot of power project money and power. So what they are getting in return is what they're putting out there. Now, that doesn't mean that their personal lives aren't hell. It just means that they continue to generate what they already have. And that's why you see a lot of these family lines that have this continued level of power and success, because they teach their children to walk into a room and command power. They teach their children that their wealth is something to prize and to prosper over. It's just a different way of life. As much as it's difficult nowadays to talk about the class system, when it comes down to it, people in the upper class are taught a way of life that allows them to perpetuate their way of life. So it's the way that they push their energy. Again, their personal lives might be hell because they aren't being taught how to love or connect with other human beings. Their losses are what they are. But as far as perpetuating the power, it's not the blood. It's the way that they're being taught to approach life and approach their energy. But yes, universal balance, blockades, and protecting the little guy. Those are the best ways to work with those powerful people. All right, dear, how you feeling?
I feel good. Yes.
I hope that's helpful. It's a little bit difficult to look at the world from an energetic standpoint, but if law of attraction has taught us anything, we attract what we put out there. And I feel that that's very strongly the case.
And in the end, magic is a contest of wills. Whoever has the strongest will win.
Yes.
So if your will to be uninterfered with is stronger, then they can't counter that no matter who they are.
All right, Sabrina. Sabrina's color is orange, and that's her name right there.
Where?
Oh, in our pinned comment.
Sabrina Svetlana. Please comment so we know you're still watching.
Sabrina was talking a little bit about seeing demons and talking to various things. She's wondering if there is a curse associated with her psychosis.
Oh.
So, more specifics on her.
Yeah.
Anita. Someone has a deep spell, you can break it even it has been a long time. Yes. We specifically do that all the time. But even you have the power to remove spells and curses from yourself with daily meditation and self care, focusing on removing negative forces, clearing the energy, and creating boundaries. We all have the ability to remove any attachments or unwanted negative influences with proper self care and spiritual wellness. The first 20 minutes of this video, we talk a little bit about that, including how to remove curses from yourself. So when this video is over, I highly recommend that you check that out. All right, I'll give you some silence.
Are you okay?
Yep. I'll bow out of that one.
Sorry, what?
So I'm going to bow out of that one. I don't.
Okay.
I don't want it. Sorry. You're on your own.
I definitely see psychosis. Just have to ask if any of this has an independent existence.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
I think it does. An aspect of it, at the very least. There's an aggressive aspect somewhere in there. That's why I had to back out, because it started to muddle with me.
It's also physical.
If it wasn't entirely her, I wouldn't have had the need to get away from it.
So the answer is that there is something. I would say that it probably has influence around you. When I connect to your energy, it's like actually stepping into a room. There's like a space around you that I can walk through. And it's very noisy. There's a lot of voices talking. And when I look at you, you appear like static. So you lack some personal cohesion and solidity. It's probably hard for you to focus. There was some shrouding, which is my term for there being dark energy meant to hide things underneath it, which has been kind of brushed away. That's when you had to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really just trying to locate the thing, object or entity, which is the focus.
If I had to make a guess, it's external living dominating.
Yeah. There is some similarity. Everything, each spell is unique, but there are similarities across types of spells. As we have already seen in someone else's reading, there is containment here. So it's like being in a bubble or space. In your case, it's a room. This is common with domination type spells. So all the noise, all the voices and such are in this space with you. It's interesting. So there's this, again, this kind of darkness, and there's this room with a staticky version of yourself or concentration of your energy in all the voices. And in a different spot outside this room is actual you. And you're just kind of sitting quietly in the dark. So it's like they didn't successfully put you all the way in the containment, just like enough to have influence.
Honestly, that would be reason enough for the psychosis right there, being split like that.
This person or thing hides themselves well, but I have a sense of them now. They move, it moves around in the darkness energetically.
Hmm. Interesting.
Hmm. I've pinpointed a thing and kind of tied it up, and it's like all the manifestations are sucking up into it. I would be inclined to think this is an independent entity, but you felt a living person.
Mm-mm.
No?
Look at what she said.
I'm not looking at the comments. Oh.
The
Oh.
impression may have been living. The continuation appears to not be. So entity is probably correct.
So I have him.
Let's get rid of him.
Oh, I will.
Sabrina, would you like us to get rid of him for you?
Mm.
Okay, Lysander's not giving you an option. Lysander's getting rid of him for you.
I'm passing him along, so
Pass him to authorities. Please.
does it warrant the...
Yes.
Okay. Such fun.
Such fun.
So I'm going to make sure that all the manifestations actually go into him first.
Sabrina, I need you to take a deep breath and to let go. The only way this connection is going to be severed is if you allow it to be. You need to let go of that attachment. So just breathe. Let it happen. Just make sure you're letting go very deeply. No connection, no holding on, no memory. Let it go.
Alrighty then.
That was not pleasant. Self-care, Sabrina. Because of your relation to this entity, it's like any other relationship cord. If you think about them, if you reach out to them, if you speak to them, if you anything, no pictures, no anything, you can reform a cord with them. You do not want this relationship cord. You do not want anything to do with them. Do everything you can to never think of him again. That is the best way to ensure that the connection stays severed. He has been moved on to the next plane of existence and should not be able to haunt you any longer.
He cannot leave where he's been placed.
Now the important thing is just self-care. Replenish your energy and make sure you're taking care of yourself so that you can recover from it. And truly, deeply work towards your own wellness. Anything to add, dear?
It's over if you let it be. I just don't feel like I have a lot to say.
All right. I hope that helps. I'm sure that it will. So that's your list, dear.
High love. Comment if you are still watching.
Maybe do a shout out for the next person in line just so that we...
So next is High Love, and after him is Chandra and Glover.
Hey there. All right. Rainbow. You did say you like every color, so I went with rainbow. Just associate you with every color. Why don't you take a moment and before moving on to the next one. You've got a funk. Take a minute. You're stronger than I am. I couldn't have handled that one. Just too personal.
Yes, I guess it must have been.
It will work if you let it, Sabrina. The biggest issue with entity connections like this is that their energy can continue to bother you on a residual level so long as you give it power. Don't give it power. Clear your space, your home, everything. Take a nice long salt bath, eat a heavy meal, replenish your energy, sage your home, singing bowls, whatever you can do to get rid of the residual energy. If you encourage the residual energy, it can continue to haunt you. The best thing for you to do is to wipe the slate clean and never think of it again.
It's over.
It's
if
over.
You let it be.
It's very important that you remember that. It's over if you let it be. How you doing? You know what I mean by it was too personal, right?
Consciously, I don't, but I feel a very particular way
Yes.
at the moment.
Yes. That's why I want you to take a minute to ground out. Do you want to step away for a minute? Or do you think you can recover and continue? Sometimes doing these is very, very difficult. It's very draining. It's very triggering.
Boy, if I find anything else, I'm in a mood to fight.
Yeah. I don't think you will with the next two. So we appreciate your patience. That was triggering for both of us. That's why I had to kind of step away from that reading a little bit. Yeah. Hi, love. Next, we will check you for curses and negativities and the like. Lysander just needs a moment to kind of regain focus.
Pass me my coffee.
Your coffee?
Did I drink it all?
Yeah.
Oh.
Here.
That's okay. I still have tea. I just wanted coffee. It's okay.
Sorry, dear. No more coffee. It's gone. If you want more tea or something, let me know. I should probably go check on dinner in a minute. But I'll stay here and entertain the lovely folks while you refocus yourself. Hello, lovely folks. We are talking about curses and removing them. At the moment, we are doing readings for people. Because of the limited time frame, we will probably only be getting to our last two on the list here. But do check our events page for other events like this one going on in the near future. You can check Lysander's page daily for opportunities for free readings and other conversations. If you would like to donate to us because you like what we do, the PayPal link is in the description, as well as our Patreon link, where for only $1 you can join us as one of our patrons and become part of our exclusive Facebook community, where we teach you all kinds of amazing magical things. And for added tips and tricks on how to put a little magic in your day, check out the Kitchen Witch, which is my page, where I show you how to do make everything magical, from daily chores to cooking dinner at night. And got all kinds of fun things planned for the next month, like cooking for Thanksgiving. We're making Thanksgiving magical this year. And I'm really just talking because Lysander needs a minute, so I'm just talking at y'all. But we're going to be making Thanksgiving magical this year. Every dish that I make will actually have spells woven into it, not only to help gain a little extra prosperity through the winter, but also to show gratitude and thanks to our ancestors and the spirits here on our land. All kinds of fun things. So there is that to look forward to as well.
All right. I'm good.
All right. We're good. Hi, love. Here we go. Aw, thank you very much. I do try to do the live events as much as possible. The dailies are a little harder for me. I'm the one keeping the house running most of the time, but hopefully we'll be seeing more of me. If you need any additional help, Sabrina, please feel free to message Lysander directly. We are more than happy to give you any additional assistance if we're able. And if you just want to talk a little bit about your experience and about what you've been going through with this spiritual attack, you're welcome to reach out to me on the Kitchen Witch. And I'd be happy to just have a conversation with you. I have had similar experiences, and I find camaraderie is often good for the soul. So please feel free to reach out to me as well if you would like.
All right. So, hi, I do sense something. It's inside the body, and if I may demonstrate here, it's like a hard black ball. When I touch it, my attention is drawn to your feet, and say you're standing, going from your feet forward is like this blood skid, as if you were violently pushed backwards. There is a sense of dormancy to this ball of energy in the abdomen. So part of me feels like somehow it's just there. Our feet represent how we move forward in life and the path we walk in life. So the image I got of the feet suggests things pertaining to anger and harm as being part of the path you've walked through life, or
You mean that as the target of anger and harm, or personally?
I feel as though he is angry. So I'm trying to determine, although it was caused by experiences, I feel as though the dark ball is like a self curse, or is like a hard ball of hatred.
Like
That's,
unreleased?
yeah, that is formed in the body, kind of like trapped emotion that's grown hard right there. I don't remember what's physically in the body in that area. I
Like
think
the
just
spleen
intestines.
and intestine and liver is all in that area.
Liver is like up here. Well, anyway, it's like in that part of the abdomen.
Interesting.
Hmm. Um,
What you looking for?
just looking at the notifications. Thank you, Joanne, for the donation. We're appreciating it. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you, Athena. I really do hope that your reading helped, and please feel free to join us again soon. It was lovely getting to talk to you.
Just
Let's
checking the
see.
time. We have 30 minutes left.
I'm keeping track, dear.
Okay. So, hi. The thing I'm suggesting is that you are the source, but it's in response to events. Obviously, things make us angry.
Mm-hmm. So something would have happened in your past that upset you that you're maybe holding on to or holding a grudge
yeah,
about.
that's become that formation in the energy. Because you hold onto it so tightly, there is a sense of that dormancy, so it doesn't have a wild effect on your life, but affects the way you go through your life. Hence the image I got of the feet. I feel it is your own anger, but it's in response to a sense of being impeded or pushed back and feeling wronged or injured in some way.
Could this be pertaining to a past life by chance? Something that's being carried very strongly from place to place?
It's like a clamp down so hard that it's like, it feels like iron. It's like really hard. And so that means it is something that's very well suppressed. I feel my feeling is insisting that it's from this lifetime.
Okay.
But obviously, again, super suppressed holding in your body emotion. So you have gone well out of your way to deny it.
We all have things like that.
So even though it's like only this big, it's actually like this much energy, but it's like pressed down so hard. It's like a little hard ball of metal. Iron. So has to do with ideas about will as well. So you may also have it part of your personality that you consider it an act of will to be in control of your feelings, and that you would view it as weakness to react to them, or to like especially with anger, a need to be in control of how you respond to things.
Could this be brought on by childhood? Something that happened as a kid, feeling like you're not allowed to respond or react, or that
Totally.
you had no right?
Oh, totally.
Keep in mind, folks, he's not looking at the comments at all, so I'm questioning based on your input. So,
yeah. I mean, usually things like this are from one's childhood, and strong repression would be obviously, not being allowed to express it, or especially if other people around you were very angry and out of control, you would want to kind of be the opposite and be in control and squash it down. And it's just like, that's how determined you are to squish it down, is why it's so small and hard. So this is something you can resolve, but it would be by, feeling it and processing it, which will be very unpleasant, obviously. because there is a lot of feeling there, and it's been kind of asleep a long time. That's kind of all there is to it. I could stimulate the spot to encourage you to feel it, but you will not like how that feels at all.
Is it something that can be removed?
I mean, yes. I generally, with this kind of thing, feel like it's a disservice, you know? The child you were has the right to yell a little, to honor what you were feeling so long ago. And do you really want to invalidate your younger self? I typically won't, because I feel like I'm stealing something from people when I do that.
Okay. Well, there's that then.
Mm.
Yes. It's kind of prompting based on his comments.
I see. Sometimes there just are no shortcuts. If you just take it away, you will lose something vital in yourself. It's an energy block, but at least you still have it.
So the best way to go about it would be self-reflection and meditation, kind of.
Yeah. When you meditate, you can energetically stimulate the spot or just like touch it. Obviously, it can take some doing psychologically to dive into stuff you have well denied and repressed, but it's there. So it can be triggered and processed.
So it's not uncommon for people to have emotional blocks in their body. I have one right here. That's really, really horrible. And I just am not good at dealing with it. I know what's caused it. So the recommendation would be to sit and meditate or just take some time to reflect. You can actually put pressure on this area of your stomach here where the block exists and massage that area. Oftentimes that will actually trigger something emotional, even if you have no idea what it is at first.
Yeah. Sometimes memories can come back. Or you can see a therapist and describe to them your livelihood and sometimes another person hearing your circumstances. Or you could talk to a friend who's objective. And some things you may have disregarded or overlooked as things to be worth being angry about. You can have someone look at you and be like, that was really terrible of your parents to do.
Or,
I'm mad for you. And then you're like, is this something worth being mad about? And then be like, wow, I'm actually angry.
That is like the story of my life.
So therapy is good,
Mm-hmm.
is a good way to get rid of emotional blocks. It's also a scary way. Yeah, you just have to do the work. So those are two, you have different options. Psychotherapy or meditation or just talking to someone who cares about you and can listen without imposing their ideas on you while you're talking about your life.
So that would be our thoughts on how to move forward. Anita, I do see you. As I pointed out initially, we're going to finish our list currently before taking any additional requests. I do have one more person on this list, and if they're still here, we will see them, and we probably will not have time for another reading. If they're not here, then you are next. That's all I can do. The live videos only last 4 hours. We can't go past that. It'll just turn off.
Chandra and Glover, if you're still watching, please comment.
Yep.
Again, donations are optional, but we really appreciate them. If you are inclined to donate, you can do so through the PayPal link in the description of this video. You can do so either because you appreciate your reading, you just enjoy our work generally, or, just
Just want
Just
to help
'cause.
out. We're also available for personal readings, for paid readings. And if you have a spiritual emergency, please do reach out and let us know. Spiritual emergency is life-threatening, not you feel uncomfortable in your house. If you're not suffering from some kinds of horrible spirit-inflicted disease or curse, then it's not an emergency. But if you do have a spiritual emergency, please do feel free to reach out to us. We also don't say this very often, but if you do have a spiritual issue and there is a child involved ever, please feel free to reach out to us. We are very, very quick to do something in those circumstances. Children are defenseless, and as such, we do what we can to help anyone in need if there is a situation where there's a child involved, especially if there's a haunting or curse involved in that. So that's what we're here to do. All right, one more shout out.
All right, Chandra, if you're still watching, comments. If you don't respond, you will be skipped.
Yep.
I only read for people who are present, as they are free readings and many people are waiting.
Because free readings are free, yo.
All right.
Fantastic.
Good luck.
Good luck. It can be a heck of an experience going through it. I have gone through it. Lysander's gone through it. It's just part of the process, but it's amazing what you find on the other end if you just are willing to work through that difficulty. So we wish you lots and lots of luck, and you're always welcome to reach out to us if you need further advice.
All right. Well, I feel that is more than enough time, so we are moving along to the next person.
Anita Reyes.
So it skipped. It is too late because we don't have enough time to go back. So Anita Reyes is the last reading because Facebook will end this video at 4 hours.
Yep. So Anita, please let us know what your favorite color is. I know you're still here.
You're welcome, guys.
Purple. Fantastic.
So I'm going to connect to Anita's energy and see what comes up. You're welcome to regale everyone about Patreon. Also, if you like our work, like and follow the pages so you continue to see more.
Yes. Make sure to like and follow Lysander Xanthus if you would like to stay apprised of more opportunities for free readings and other awesome discussions like this one. Also, be sure to check out The Kitchen Witch, which is my page for little tips and tricks on how to make your life more magical. I put a little extra magic into everyone's day on my page. That is my goal, and I am gearing up to start a whole bunch of new cooking videos about fantastic dishes for Thanksgiving, geared towards gratitude and goodwill, and just general good luck for you and yours this holiday season. So be sure to check out The Kitchen Witch as well. I just got my camera set up in my kitchen, so I will be getting back to doing not only recorded videos, but I will start doing live Q&A videos on things you can do to make everyday life more magical, and that should be starting here in the next 2 weeks or so. Also, please feel free to donate to our PayPal. Every donation counts. It is how we earn a living. They are entirely optional. At the moment, the donations go towards me getting my kitchen set up so that I can do more videos. Also, check out our Patreon. And for as little as $1 a month, you can become part of our exclusive Patreon community here on Facebook, where we teach you not only how to develop your abilities, but also more on meditations, removing curses, free giveaways, all kinds of fantastic things. So please check out our Patreon. All of the links are in the description. Now we're going to go back to Lysander. What can you tell us about Anita? Really.
Just what the heck, you guys?
Everybody's so interesting. We only got 10 minutes. You best get talking.
Okay, so connecting to your energy, I see a orange and yellow light here. Your hands are like this. To me, it's like the feeling of you're holding on to anxiety and stress. So not only are you feeling these from a very deep place in yourself, but you're like holding on to these painful feelings. And above you, I sense a presence. It's almost like this presence was attracted by this strong, painful feeling you have. So it's like here. It's kind of vague feeling though. So, I mean, first of all, I'm trying to determine if it's actually a separate entity or something you are creating.
Hmm.
Could be a PK.
That's kind of like follows her around though. It's not like in the location.
Well, I mean, you could bother yourself with such a manifestation.
No, I know. That's the only reason I'm questioning it though, because PKs usually haunt an area because it's it's that.
Well, no, they can be.
I just said typically. I'm not saying that it's unlikely. It's
okay. So, a psychokinetic manifestation or poltergeist is an entity, which is not really an entity, that is created of the energy of incredibly powerful emotions that a spiritually or psychically sensitive individual, emotions that they are feeling that are being suppressed, repressed, or not expressed. Typically, yeah, so that's how they form. And that's what I sense. So there's an entity around you that is with you all the time, and it's like a feeding off of this strong, painful emotion. Your hands being like this, they make me think, what comes to mind is you like really holding on to that feeling strongly, or holding on to something because of that feeling strongly, like if it were caused by losing someone, if you're really holding on to them strongly in an emotional way, could be pertaining to that or some similar thing. Just the idea of holding on. PK manifestations can be troublesome because you can clear them, but they will reform until the energy, the emotions which they came from are resolved, because it kind of perpetuates the creature. So it's feeding off of these painful feelings, and because it's feeding off them, it also perpetuates those feelings. So it makes you feel more terrible.
you're good.
So that is what I'm sensing. So it could easily be mistaken for being followed around by a spirit or a ghost and experiencing more of the same bad feelings, or feeling kind of paranoid or anxious, or feeling like you see things out of the corner of your eyes. Those are just potential things. You may not feel any of those. This is just how the energy presents itself to me. So this is something you have to resolve yourself. To me, I would say the root feels the root emotions are like pain and like anxiousness or panic, stress, and the idea of grasping hard or holding on to something, not being ready to let go or accept. So you would have to face your feelings and face the situation that they pertain to and find acceptance for what has happened and be willing to release and let go of the situation or person. And that's how you would get rid of it.
You can read.
Yeah. Let's see. So when I look at your energy, Anita, I see that you have a presence around you which you created through strong suppressed emotions, and that the only way to get rid of it is by resolving those feelings, which is something that only you can do, unfortunately. That is probably the simplest I could put it. That is how the energy reached to me and how I perceive it.
So you're not cursed.
So you're not cursed.
That's the short version of it.
That's I can't break it down any further than that.
All right, everybody. I'm sure the two of us are starting to look a little bit drained. It has been nearly 4 hours.
Yes, we have 8 minutes, so we have to wrap it up, actually.
So we're starting to wrap this up.
Hello again, Kareem. All right, so some last announcements. I do private readings and energy healings.
No, I'm just saying, you should look at the camera, not the microphone.
Oh.
It's okay. The microphone's picking you up.
Okay. I do private readings and energy healings. My rate is $80 an hour. So message me directly anytime to make arrangements. There's some different ways of doing it, and we do schedule it. So there is that. If you enjoyed this video, like and follow my page and the Kitchen Witch's page called The Kitchen Witch to see more content like this. Check out my events page because I do several live Q&As about various metaphysical topics each month, as well as moon rituals.
Mm-hmm.
I also do mini readings on my page and mini crystal healings, as well as other things. Check out the description of this video for the link to our Patreon and check that out. Lots of exclusive content. And if you're at a high enough membership level, you do get free weekly or monthly readings. If you would like to donate, you can do so through the PayPal link in the description of this video. It is optional, but very much appreciated. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and participating in this live Q&A. It has been very interesting.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best of luck with everything. I know a lot of serious things came up. So I hope that it all helps. And I look forward to seeing you guys all again later. Would you like to add anything?
I'll do my spiel. Again, I am the Kitchen Witch. Please make sure to check me out on Facebook for tips and tricks on how to make life more magical. I do videos on ways to add magic to everything from cooking to house cleaning, ways to protect yourself and your family. I also do private sessions and spiritual coaching. So if you would like to talk to me about ways to better your life spiritually, or if you are looking to figure out your spiritual direction in life, if you're feeling lost, that's what I do. I also do numerology and card readings if any of you are interested in that. Starting next week, I will be doing live readings and videos live from the kitchen. So please make sure to like me on The Kitchen Witch on my Facebook page for more of that. And that's my spiel.
All right. Well, Thanks for joining, everyone, and we will see you all again later. We really hope that you will join our team on Patreon and that you'll donate and like our pages and continue to grow with us. There's a lot more content and interesting things to come.
Blessed be everybody.
Be blessed. Have a great weekend.